The O's looking for yet another win against this Yankee team that's struggling offensively. Their lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Ellsbury, Jeter, and Gardner. Prado, McCann, and Teixeira. Chris Young, who's hot right now. Antoine Richardson and Wheeler. They will go against the Orioles right-hander Miguel Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's been a real hot pitcher lately. And I think a different pitcher lately, Gary. A guy who normally keeps the ball down in the zone. That's still where he wants to live with his secondary stuff. But last couple of starts featuring more four-seam fastballs up in the zone and getting extremely good results.
Gonzalez will start this ball game with a scoreless streak. Jacoby Ellsbury will lead it off against him. Ellsbury, the doubleheader yesterday, had a couple of hits in 9 at-bats. These two teams in game 1 yesterday, a tremendous ball game where neither team scored through 10 innings. And then the Yankees got a home run in the 11th, only to have the Orioles get 2 in the bottom of the 11th to win it 2-1. Then the Orioles shut out the Yankees 5-0 in game 2. And we're underway as the pitch will be taken inside for a ball. Ellsbury, the DH, against Gonzalez, has had 4 hits in 13 at-bats against the Orioles right-hander. Defense pretty much straight up on him. That'll go towards second. Diving. Flaherty. Throw. And pulled him off the bag. Ellsbury will reach.
Yeah, it looked like the throw beat him, but as you mentioned, Pierce couldn't stay on the bag. Great effort here by Flaherty. Quick release. The throw is a little high and pulling Pierce up into the air. Showing good range in the dive, the quick release. Yeah, I think if he's on the bag, they get Ellsbury. It's a base hit.
Buck Showalter's out to ask, and they're going to challenge. So our very first batter of the ball game, and Buck Showalter will challenge it as to whether or not the call was right at first base.
I think he's going to win. Looking at that slow motion replay, the super slow-mo, it looked like Pierce came down on the bag before Ellsbury got it. You know, Gary, this is one thing Major League Baseball has talked about, is outfitting all the parks with these super slow-mo cameras. See the foot come down before Ellsbury gets there.
He's out.
The super slow-mo will get rid of the blur on the foot and the ball in cases when it's a matter of the ball hitting the leather of the glove.
And the call is overturned. And no question about it when you watch the replay. So the first challenge, first hitter, Orioles make it. Orioles succeed. Instead of a base hit for Ellsbury, he's retired 4-3 and a fine play made by Ryan Flaherty. Derek Jeter, of course, the farewell tour continues. Each time he comes to the plate, every ballpark he's in, a recognizable standing ovation. Jeter goes after the first pitch in the air, right center field. Over to get it is Markakis. He's got it. Jeter's retired. Jeter has not had a hit now in his last 18 at-bats. 2 down.
Yeah, really the month of August was a tough month for him. Just a matter of a 40-year-old shortstop now. The grind of the season getting to him a little bit.
Here is Brett Gardner. Gardner making the start in center field, comes in with a 3-game hit streak for the Yankees with his speed. Paredes at third will play just off the cut of the grass defensively. Yankees, it has just been a troublesome year when it comes to the offense, not getting the kind of production they had hoped for out of the middle part of the order. Taken for a strike from Gonzalez. The Yankees enter the ball game ranked 11th in the league in average and 12th in runs. Their on-base percentage is next to last. Ball put up in the air towards second base. Flaherty is there. And that'll retire the side. So for Gonzalez, he extends his scoreless streak now to 16 1/3 innings. Shane Greene will be on the mound for the Yankees. Starting lineup for the Orioles brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live más. Markakis, De Aza, and Jones, Cruz, Pierce, and Hardy, Paredes, Flaherty, and Joseph, the starting 9 for Baltimore. Shane Greene will make the start. Mostly a starter, one relief appearance this year.
It's a guy, Gary, has really turned out to be better on the big league level than even the Yankees expected. Real quality stuff, sinker, slider, cutter guy. You'll see the sinker even in the 93, 94 range. Especially tough on right-handed hitters, and especially tough when you get runners on base.
Greene is only 25 years old. You look at Nick Markakis in the leadoff spot for the Orioles.
Let's talk about our 4 keys to the game for the Yankees. They need length from Greene. Joe Girardi's top 2 relievers, Dylan Betances, David Robertson, not available because they were needed yesterday in that doubleheader. The Orioles, they need to score 4 runs. That's been their formula, 69-14 this year when they score 4 runs.
Orioles on a 6-game win streak, season high for them coming into this ball game. Markakis has had the leadoff spot virtually the entire season. He had an 0 for 5 in the doubleheader yesterday. Buck Showalter resting some of his starters once a week now. Adam Jones and Markakis neither started game 2 of the doubleheader yesterday. Pitch will be taken outside for a ball. Greene against the Orioles has a 1-0 record. He faced them on July 12, picked up a win. No runs, 4 hits, and 7 1/3 innings in that ball game. Only time he's faced the Orioles. Fouled away by Markakis, and leaving it up 1-1.
Well, you mentioned the rest for Nick Markakis, Adam Jones a day off. That's rare for these guys. I think it's a great advantage for Baltimore coming down the stretch. Last year, I thought their players, their everyday players who never like to take days off, got worn out and didn't hit at all in September.
1-1 delivery. Markakis the off-speed pitch. Boy, it sure does give you some options when you got an 11.5 game lead in the division, doesn't it?
Oh, man. 11.5 game lead. Biggest in baseball in a long time since they were able to raise a first-place championship banner here in Baltimore in 1997.
Markakis fouls that one back. Showalter refuses to talk about any of that until the clinch has occurred. Won't talk about what he's going to do in the postseason for a roster. Won't talk about what his rotation might be in the postseason. Just refuses to deal with any question regarding postseason until they've made it. 2-ball, 2-strike count. De Aza on deck batter. Greene's delivery, and that'll be into right field for a base hit. Richardson comes over to get it. Markakis leads it off with a single. You can see the umbrellas up. Rain's going to be off and on probably all afternoon. Showers in the forecast. We started the ball game. It wasn't raining, and as soon as it started raining again. And the folks, they will have on the slickers and ponchos and have the umbrellas up probably for an on and off time this afternoon. Alejandro De Aza coming to the plate. De Aza has been one of the many pleasant surprises for the Orioles this season. He's got an 8-game hit streak. He's hit in every game he's played since coming over to the Orioles from the Chicago White Sox in a deal. Up high for a ball.
I like what he said too, Gary. He said, "I feel young again." He's only 30 years old.
I could say that.
Well, he said that's how rough the years have been in Chicago for the White Sox the last couple of years. But he said, "I feel like I'm 20 again." Dropped into the middle of a pennant race here, and as you said, off to a terrific start for Baltimore.
He's just been red hot in at third base. Wheeler, and he's way in. The throw over. Markakis back. Yankees looking for a potential bunt here. Sacrifice. Buck Showalter does not use the sacrifice very often. He has a rule about that. He says, "I learned a long time ago. Former coach told me, you got 27 outs. You better be darn sure you're willing to give one up before you do." He views the sacrifice as an out, so rarely uses it. When you don't, could be a double play. Jeter will make the flip, and they get the 2.
Yeah, that's the risk you run against a sinker ball pitcher like Greene. Puts the ball on the ground. It's an easy double play. I'm with you and with Buck Showalter on the idea, especially early in the game. That's not a sacrifice situation. Play for one. You may only get one. That's fine. 8th, 9th inning, not first inning.
So 2 down as the Orioles hit into the double play by De Aza. And that will bring up Adam Jones. Adam with the 25 home runs, 85 RBIs. He has been in and out of the top 10 in the American League in home runs this season. Is just out of the top 10. He's 11th in the league in home runs now. Pitch to him, good breaking ball that is in there for a strike.
Surprised he actually took that pitch. Good move by Greene. Start him off with a breaking ball. One of the most aggressive hitters in the league, especially on first pitches.
Hitting .314 against the Yankees this year with 3 home runs fouled away. The Orioles have put up an impressive 10-3 record this year against the Yankees. Their winning percentage of .769 against the Yankees is their 3rd best in a single season head-to-head since the Orioles came to Baltimore in '54. 0-2 delivery on the way, up high to him.
And Adam's one of those guys, he enjoys the rivalry with the Yankees. You know, a lot of guys will just give you that line at just another team. He's seen how the Red Sox and the Yankees have dominated this division for much of the last decade. They'd like nothing better, obviously, to clinch the division, but they have a chance of knocking out the Yankees for good with 2 more wins here.
But Showalter calls it a step on your neck kind of attitude. He's not worried about the Yankees struggling. Adam Jones not worried about them not hitting, not worried about defeating them. Get them down, beat them up. As far as Adam Jones is concerned, that's what they've done to the Orioles. This wet grass will slow it down, but it'll be a foul ball. Wheeler playing at third base, let it go. He would not have had to play. We'll see how the weather affects the game here today. The infield and outfield grass, of course, is wet. It's slippery. And there's fog moving in and out. Not enough to prevent the outfielders from seeing the ball, but it doesn't make it any easier to play the game. Orioles haven't been there a lot. This division owned by the Red Sox and the Yankees. The Rays have played outstanding baseball. Toronto with 5 of them, but the Orioles have just 3. Slice, fair ball down the line into foul territory. Richardson over to get it. Jones going to go for 2. Richardson up and firing, not in time. Adam Jones gets a double.
Oh, that is an emergency swing by Adam Jones. You won't see him go the other way much, but on this ball, it looked like a cutter running in on him. Watch him just pull his hands in and fight this thing off. Abbreviated finish, got the job done.
His 29 doubles now lead the Orioles in 2 baggers, and here's the man he just went ahead of. Nelson Cruz, along with all those numbers, also has 28 doubles. Major league leader in home runs. Runner on at second base with 2 down. Greene will keep an eye on Jones. And the pitch will be taken inside for a ball. Oriole batters have faced Greene not many times. Cruz 0 for 3, with Greene having made only that 1 start against the Orioles. And it came here at Camden Yards, by the way, in that very fine outing. He'd gone 4 2/3 before he gave up a hit in that ball game this year. 1-0 delivery, set up outside, pitches there, 1-1.
Yeah, you see the way Cruz sets up like a dead pull hitter with the open stance, but he gets that toe tap, is more neutral. That's the one pitch if you're Greene you'd love to throw every time to Cruz. Breaking ball working down and away. You see the Yankee infield is shaded over to pull him, ground ball wise at least, as a pull hitter. With Prado almost right behind second base.
1 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and a soft one that time. Had his timing off on it. Another real good pitch, 1-2.
Yeah, it's just actually a little bit of a spinner, hangs in the zone. Cruz knows he missed it. That's why he had that little bit of a wry grin after that swing. Ball stayed in the zone rather than coming in and breaking out of the zone.
So Greene trying to get out of the inning and leave Jones at second. Orioles second in the league, runners in scoring position average. Pitch will be taken away. The Orioles on the year hitting .272 in these situations, but against the Yankees they are hitting .310. with runners in scoring position. An extraordinarily high number against Joe Girardi's ball club. 2 ball, 2 strike count.
See if he goes back to the slider down and away right here.
Prado moves in at second, so Greene will step off.
I mean, he made sure the pitch before the 4-seam fastball was off the plate, was not going to throw that in the zone.
Orioles trying to get on the board first here in the first inning. 2 down, 2-2. Cruz will take it outside, wouldn't bite. 3-2.
That's the cutter. You'll see the 2 different breaking balls, the cutter and the slider from Greene. This is a little tighter break, a little harder velocity. Try to disguise that as a fastball and run it off the plate. Got a base open here. Don't have to give in to Nelson Cruz with a fastball in the zone.
Cruz 3-2 away. Jones off second base. Cruz swing and a miss. He did go after that one, and Greene gets a big strikeout. No runs on a couple of hits, no errors, and 1 left on. Clean those chairs off on a rainy day at Camden Yards. No score. By the new Dollar Cravings menu at Taco Bell. Live Más. Rain delayed start to our ball game. Take a look at our T-Mobile Game Changer profile.
Pretty good company right there. Lowest career average with at least earned run average with at least 12 starts. Right behind that Clayton Kershaw guy from Los Angeles. What a career revival for Miguel Gonzalez. Guy signed really out of winter ball pitching in Mexico. Winter of 2011-12. Went to minor league camp, not major league camp, minor league camp with the Orioles. Spring training of 2012. Wound up pitching in a playoff game for them the same year.
Great story of someone who just hung in and it paid off for him. Pitch will be taken outside. Martin Prado. Prado's getting a start at second base. The 19th start he's had at second base this season. Prado has been red hot of late after a slow start with the Yankees. 1-0 breaking ball. When he first joined the Yankees in August, through the 15th of August, he hit only 163 in 13 games. Since then, he's hitting 385 in the last 21 ball games. 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 15 runs scored. Prado will foul it away.
You know, Miguel Gonzalez is a guy who missed 2 years in the minor leagues with knee and elbow surgeries. And when I asked him if he ever had a point where he almost gave up the game, I thought he would refer to that period being out of the game for 2 years. Instead, he talked about being in the minor leagues in 2011 in the Red Sox system. He was pitching out of the bullpen in Double-A, got promoted to Triple-A to make a spot start, and then they sent him back down to Double-A. And he said at that point, I'm back in Double-A ball, pitching out of the bullpen, no September call-up. I thought that was it.
3-1 delivery on the way, hit in the air, deep left center field at the wall, and hauled in by Adam Jones.
Adam Jones just had this ball the minute it left the bat. That measured the entire time. Getting back to Gonzalez when he finished that year with the Red Sox. Watch the jump here by Jones. Doesn't have to run hard. He knows he's got it all the way. And Gonzalez talked about, I need to go pitch in winter ball. And that's where Fred Ferreira, the Orioles director of international scouting, saw him pitch one time and said, there's something there. And general manager Dan Duquette was looking for some insurance arms. January and February, Ferreira remembered seeing Miguel Gonzalez.
McCann on the off-speed delivery, and Gonzalez has only gotten better as the season has gone along.
That's the two-seamer with the action like a changeup running away from him.
Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way. That ball fouled off. Since July 1, Gonzalez has got a 1.82 ERA. That happens to be that fifth best number you saw. Keep in mind he is running that streak of scoreless innings starting at 15 1/3 coming into the ball game. He's got a 2-2 mark lifetime against the Yankees. That one hit hard. It will be fouled into the seats.
Well, that whole sequence there, Gary, is a good example of what he can do. He can make the ball run away from you as he did on the first pitch, cut the ball in on McCann's hands as he did on the second pitch, and then change up and throw it soft. Where do you go to now? Stay soft again.
0-2 delivery on the way, and he'll float it outside. That's why Gonzalez, as with Greene, two pitchers who need to get the first strike to be effective. There aren't many who are effective otherwise. There are some, but both of these pitchers need that first strike to free up their secondary pitches. Gonzalez, if he gets the first strike, opponents hit 226. If he doesn't, the average jumps to 263. That's not uncommon for starting pitchers. If you get behind, probably got to throw a fastball, and that's probably what the hitter's sitting on. In the air to right field, Nick Markakis looking up. It is way back, and goodbye, home run. McCann breaks out of an 0 for 12 with a long ball, and the Yankees have a 1-0 lead.
Normally, Gary, when you see a guy finish with one hand coming off the bat early, you don't see this kind of result. It means he was out in front, but strong enough to lift this off-speed pitch out of the ballpark. Watch the finish here. One-handed, and it just gets out. It's been a long time. Back in May was the last time that Brian McCann hit a home run on the road.
Wow. McCann gets his 19th of the year for the Yankee lead.
Yeah, this is the split here designed to get the hitter out in front. It's actually a good location. They think doubling up on the off-speed pitch allowed McCann to stay back just enough to get it out of the park.
So the Yankees up on their first hit of the ball game, second hit of the ball game. Nope, first. And here's Teixeira. And Teixeira with that big uppercut will foul it off. Mark Teixeira had an 0 for 5 in the doubleheader yesterday, where Teixeira, the switch hitter, 224 right, 216 left. The home runs have come from this side of the plate, 17 of his 21. Gonzalez's delivery will miss down low. Teixeira bothered by injuries this season, in and out of the lineup. There's McCann.
Just his third home run on the road all year, and look at the difference in the slugging percentage.
3-1 delivery. That's hit hard, and that will be foul.
But overall, Gary, he's swung the bat much better these last few weeks. Through a period in the middle of the season, see Teixeira, who loves hitting the ball out in front of him, get too far out in front right there. He changed his stance, his setup, went through a funk in the middle of the season where he was trying anything, and I think he's gotten back to his more traditional erect setup at the plate.
And Teixeira will take first base. So Gonzalez, after giving up the home run, walks Mark Teixeira. With only one away, Yankees with a man on. For Gonzalez, he has surrendered a lot of home runs. Most have been solos. He's 7th in the American League in most home runs surrendered. But again, he's given them up with nobody on base most of the time. And if your team's getting a lot of runs for you, you can live with that. Here is Chris Young. Young's got a 5-game hit streak, doubleheader 3 for 9 day yesterday, and he will take the pitch up high for a ball. Young has hit safely all 5 games, going 9 for 20, 3 home runs and 8 RBIs over that time. Runner at first, 1-0 delivery, and that'll be nubbed foul. For Young, the home run ball against the Red Sox. This one's going to be put out of the ballpark. Boy, a big one. He broke up a no-hitter against the Rays, and then yesterday came back again here and delivered the long ball, which put the Yankees out on top in game 1 of the doubleheader. That came in the 11th inning, but would prove not to be enough. 1-1 delivery on the way, and a breaking ball taken down low.
That's the pitch that you need to throw to Young. You'll see Joseph has been set up off the plate every pitch so far. Chris Young, like a lot of Yankee hitters, loves to pull the baseball, and you can see by the way they defend him. I think this is one of the reasons, Gary, why I think the Yankees are not a great offensive team. They're loaded with guys who use half the field. Chris Young, another one of those players. So the trick here for Gonzalez, stay away, especially with the slider.
And that will be on the outside corner for a strike. He certainly has had a turnaround at the plate in the prior 31 games, hitting only 188. He had only 1 home run. Then the last 5, he jumps to 450 with the 3 home runs. Very dramatic turnaround for Young. Big shift on. He's got the entire right side of the infield to put a ball through, but as Tom said, doesn't go that way. And that'll be inside, right at the hand level. 3-2.
Yeah, you saw Gonzalez shake a couple of times to get to that inside fastball. I still think the pitch to put him away with is going to be away. Still have to use both sides of the plate, even if you need to show inside like he did right there. But he knows where his out pitch needs to go.
3-2, runner not going. Ground ball. That's a fair ball. Hits on the line. Teixeira, not fleet of foot, will make the turn and head over to third. Throw is going to come in. Not in time. It is a double for Young, and he continues hot.
Well, it's a mistake by Gonzalez. Again, we talked about trying to get it away. Watch the ball run back over the plate. The 2-seamer right into the nitro zone of Young. Another pull hit. This one hard down the line.
So Gonzalez in trouble. The home run by McCann with 1 down started it. Now Young gets the double for Teixeira, trying to get around the bases.
A little bit of hesitation there in the beginning. I guess he thought that ball might have been caught in the air, making sure it got through. Now the Orioles, second inning of the game, will bring their infield in.
And Antoine Richardson will stand in. Richardson, a switch hitter, getting the start in right field for the Yankees. Made his debut against Boston on September 4. With Teixeira, the very slow runner at third. The Orioles figure he's not going to go, and they don't want to give him a chance by playing the infield back, but it won't matter. Base hit by Richardson into right field. Marquez will hit the cutoff man. Teixeira scores. Young goes to third. Richardson's got the RBI, and the Yankees have a 2-0 lead.
I like the approach by Richardson, jumping on the first pitch he sees. Fastball trying to get ahead. And then infield in gives you a lot more room. That's standard operating procedure in today's game. Second inning, bring the infield in. 10 years ago, you would not have seen that. But this run-starved environment we have in baseball these days, you don't concede any runs, not even second inning.
Richardson gets his first RBI in this, his 6th game. And Richardson now has picked up 4 hits in 5 at-bats. Great start for him as Antoine Richardson, coming up from AAA, delivers. That will bring Wheeler to the plate. Wheeler with the runners at first and third. The Orioles will play back, looking for the double play. Gonzalez wants that ground ball right here with one away to try and get out of the inning. Wheeler, third baseman, 0 for 2 in the doubleheader yesterday. Swing and a miss. Breaking ball down and away.
I got a little chuckle, Gary, when we asked Joe Girardi about perhaps some lineup changes to see some other players, get some young players. He said we don't really have young players.
Yeah.
Richardson's 30 on this 5th organization. Wheeler 27, his 3rd or 4th organization.
A lot of minor league games played by a number of these Yankees on the call up, and Joe Girardi, who was honest about it, said that's a little bit of a concern. Said we think we've got some guys in the system who can help, but you'd really like to have at least a few of them to be here in September, but they don't feel those players were ready to come up and help the ball club yet. Strike on the inside corner, and Wheeler behind on the count here, 0-2.
Once again, using both sides of the plate. The sinker gets enough of it. Wheeler thought it was inside. Looked like a good pitch.
Already T.J. McFarland, long reliever for the Orioles, up in the bullpen. 0-2 count. Pitch on the way, and that'll be foul back. Two runs in here, second inning, including a McCann home run.
That's what we talked about. Where are the young players? The fewest in baseball. Number of hits by players 25 and under.
That's a substantial difference, isn't it?
That's one of the all-time lows for this franchise as well. It's the oldest team in baseball for the 3rd season in a row. A lot of this age on this team, other than Derek Jeter, is still here for a number of years.
Yeah.
The Beltrons, the Teixeiras.
0-2 the count. Runners off first and third. Gonzalez stays inside. Eats him up with that one and gets the strikeout.
What do you call it? This is just a nasty two-seamer disappearing in on Wheeler, down and in. Early in this inning, making mistakes in the zone. That's a case where Gonzalez gets the ball through the zone, winds up out of it. Very good location.
So Jacoby Ellsbury will come to the plate with the runners at first and third. The Yankees in the doubleheader yesterday went 0 for 8 combined with runners in scoring position. They've had real trouble against the Orioles in that department, coming in with a 151 average with runners in scoring position against the Orioles. Chance here for Ellsbury, and he will take the pitch for a strike. Ellsbury, a solid 296 in these situations on the year. Speedster in the leadoff spot. Lost a single on the challenge, and the replay showing he was not safe but out on a 4-3 play in the first inning. Gonzalez with the 0-1 delivery, and that'll be fouled. Ellsbury has generally been a nemesis against Orioles pitching over his career with both the Red Sox and now the Yankees. .331 lifetime hitter, 10 home runs against the Orioles in his career. Young and Richardson, third and first. Here's the 0-2. Runner goes. Pitch up high. Throw down. Runner coming home. He's safe, and they're going to get a run. The Orioles chanced it on trying to get the out rather than cutting it off and coming to the plate. It'll be a stolen base for Richardson and a run scored for Young.
Yeah, it's a great read by Young. Watch the break. Joseph is not going to look at him. And as soon as he winds up the throw, he's off and running. As you said, they prioritized throwing down the second base to try to get the third out. It was a good pitch to handle. Fastball up. But the jump by Richardson just too good. Cost him a run.
That's a steal of home right there. That's a double steal. And Young will be credited with stealing home. Fouled off outside of first by Ellsbury. That's a decision the defense makes early. Do we throw down number one? If we throw down, do we really go for the out, or do we cut it off and bring it back to the plate? The Orioles, believing in Joseph, who leads the league in percentage of throwing out base stealers, decided to go with that, and Richardson gets the stolen base. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Runner at second still. 1-2 delivery on the ways up high.
Here's the break again. Watch the break. As you said, they're going to prioritize Richardson here. Excellent jump. It's a fastball, almost designed knowing it's a run situation, 0-2. And you see Young off and running as that ball is almost just getting over the mound. Not even a return throw.
So, rare steal of home. That'll be fouled away by Ellsbury. Richardson now has already stolen 3 bases. So you get some idea of the speed that he has got. He's 3 for 3, and this is only the 6th game he's played in. See Derek Jeter waiting on deck. Major League Baseball, it is the 8th steal of home in the majors this year. And my guess is all of them have looked just like that. 2-2 delivery on the way. Jackie Robinson is not playing anymore. So we don't get the straight steals of home.
Remember when Jacoby Ellsbury did that for Boston a few years ago? I think Pettit was on the mound, and your jaw dropped because you just don't see that straight steal of home anymore.
And that's what you're counting on, right? Surprise.
Absolutely. Generally a left-hander pitching out of the windup with a slow windup. About your only chance.
42. Jackie Robinson could do that. Ball will be popped up. Coming back is Joseph. He's got room. And he will make the catch. So that will retire the side, but an interesting inning for the Yankees as McCann, with 1 away, started it by delivering the long ball, his 19th home run of the season. Teixeira would end up getting a walk. Young would come through with a double. Richardson would pick up the RBI single, his first Major League RBI. Your next truck, Ford F-150. Gary Thorne, Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal with you. A lot of members of the military, not just U.S. The tall ships are in for the celebration this weekend on the 200th anniversary of the writing of our national anthem. So you've got tall ship crew members from around the world, along with a number of Navy officers on hand. Ships are docked in the harbor here in Baltimore, over at Fells Point. Blue Angels are on hand to perform. Unfortunately today, this low ceiling, they may not get their show in. Here is Steve Pearce. Pearce, Hardy, Paredes are due up in the second inning. The Yankees 3 runs on 3 hits in that second inning. Yankees employed the shift in the infield. Pearce a 1 for 2 off Greene, who's now got a lead. Didn't used to see this a lot. Left-handers always got the shift. Now probably as many shifts on right-handers.
Yeah, it's all based on advanced analytics, the metrics every team has. The Yankees do it as much as anybody but Houston.
It's a part of the game now. 0-2 count.
To me, it's really taken away batting average of the left-handed pull hitters. You can see against a right-hander, you can only play so deep against a right-handed hitter because of the length of the throw. We've seen with the left-handed hitters, and you'll see it today with McCann and Teixeira at bat, where the second baseman is almost playing a short right field.
Fouls that one off.
So you're buying yourself more range with the extra depth. And it's a tough time for a left-handed batter without speed to find base hits to the pull field.
We were looking at some of the averages last week. As many as 30 or 40 points have come off the average of some left-handers because of balls that otherwise would have been hits, but hit into the shift or not. That's a lot of points.
There's no doubt they've seen it here with Chris Davis, Mark Teixeira, Brian McCann, Jay Bruce, Adam Dunn. On and on it goes, especially guys we've only begun to see in the last few years.
Pierce will take the pitch outside.
It's like Brian McCann told me, I grew up always learning, hit the ball up the middle, hit the ball up the middle, that's a base hit. And now the shortstop, or sometimes the third baseman, there's an infielder standing behind second base. So yeah, the pull field it takes away, but now you can't get a hit up the middle when you get a ground ball past the pitcher.
And it used to be that hitters would adjust to that, most of them, not the Ted Williams kind of hitters. Hitters would adjust and try and learn to go the other way. That has not been the case over the last couple of seasons. Hitters don't want to go the other way. They want the home run, they want the long ball, and generally those are the hitters that are being paid to do that anyway. And a swing and a miss. Great pitch right there by Greene. He gets his second strikeout, 2 in a row.
Yeah, the off-speed breaking ball right here, way out in front. Again, the one-hand finish. The ball's not there yet, but the bat is. That's when the right hand comes off the bat.
A couple of strikeouts for the Yankee starter. That'll bring up J.J. Hardy. Hardy comes in with a 3-game hit streak, not hitting the home runs as he's done over the last few years, only 9 this year. And he takes the pitch for a strike.
Gary, I guarantee you next year spring training will be different in all 30 camps, where hitters will be working on hitting balls the other way. It's very tough for a lot of these guys, and especially in their 30s, to become a different hitter. People say, well, just hit the ball the other way. It's not that easy.
Yeah, it isn't.
You really have to work on it. And the same goes for the bunts. A lot of these teams will compromise and give you that bunt. They'll give you a bunt hit. A lot of hitters just can't bunt.
Taken outside.
And I think you'll see guys next year in spring training out early, maybe a field out back, working on that push bunt from the left side.
It will be really interesting to watch. See that light rain continuing to fall. The other side of that, and I've talked with Joe Madden, the skipper of Tampa Bay, about it, is he said, sometimes we put a shift on just to get into the head of the hitter. And he said, let's take a Chris Davis. Chris Davis wants to bunt for base hit. Go right ahead. It's all yours. You can do that anytime you want. We'd rather have you do that than get in that bat where you're swinging and maybe hit a home run. So that's how Joe Madden approaches that. He thinks many times there's as much a psychological impact with a shift as there is in what actually goes on physically on the field. 3-2 delivery and got him. Hardy didn't like it, but a Pitch of the knees away, and that's 3 strikeouts in a row. Here's Paredes coming up. He's playing third. Chris Davis would be there, but of course he is not here, Ken Rosenthal.
No, Gary, and a lot of people wondered what Dan Duquette was thinking when he acquired Paredes, when he acquired Kelly Johnson and Alejandro Diaz. Well, the Orioles needed the left-handed hitting. They also wanted the infield depth with Paredes and Johnson. And now, without Chris Davis, all 3 of those guys are more important than ever. Now, Davis would miss the first 8 games of the postseason. The Orioles can add him to the roster for the ALCS if they want, but they'd have to play a man short until he was available.
Count goes to 1-1. Apologize, Ken. I couldn't hear you, but I guess you were on the air. So if I talked over you, I apologize. Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way.
Well, you think about Chris Davis not being here. Paredes and Kelly Johnson, 2 recent acquisitions for this team, at least during the course of this season, will get many of those at bats.
That will be fouled off. The third base situation remains up in question. Paredes can certainly play it, but without Davis suspended in the 25 games, the average, of course, way down, but still has produced the home runs at 26 and the RBIs at 72, which is an amazing number of RBIs for a Mendoza line batting average. 1 ball, 2 strike count. And Paredes will step out. Number that has amazed me all season long that we've looked at before is that Chris Davis ranks 16th in the American League in RBIs per at bat. Something about that just doesn't ring true, but it is true. It's the production he's had. Obviously, balls put in play numbers got to be for a very high average.
Yeah, it's opportunities as well. A lot of runners on base in front of him, and the game-changing hits. You know, the doubles and the home runs especially. And when you look at the on-base percentage alone, and maybe even slugging percentage, you'd say, you know what, the Orioles, they probably don't have as much of a difficult time as you might originally think replacing Chris Davis.
That one's going to go into the corner. Paredes is going to get an extra base hit. It'll bounce off the big door down there. The throw in by Richardson, not in time. And Paredes will pick up a 2-bagger with 2 out.
Just to complete the thought, they'll miss the home run swing, but when you've got a guy like this, the big game hit 2-run double yesterday, and now this one hooked into the corner, it's a different type of offense. They still rely on the home run. There's no question about that. But will not have it at their disposal as much without Chris Davis, at least for the first round and probably second of the postseason.
So Ryan Flaherty will get an RBI chance. Paredes now has got 10 hits and 25 at bats. Just his 9th game playing with the Orioles, so he's on at second. Orioles get their 3rd hit of Shane Greene. And here is Flaherty. Flaherty's got a 5-game hit streak. He's getting the start at second base in this game. Jonathan Scope has become the regular starter for the Orioles at second. Flaherty has worked around everywhere. He's played every position in the infield this season. Joseph, the catcher, waiting on deck. Ryan Flaherty has gone 9 for 21 during his hit streak. 1-0 delivery, and that'll be inside.
They get contributions from so many different players. Found it interesting. Buck Showalter pointed out to us they won the doubleheader yesterday using all 16 position players on their roster.
Yeah,
he's very proud of that.
3 catchers included in that. He loves to keep everybody active. Probably not as much as happened yesterday because of the first game going the extra innings. 2-0 count on Flaherty. Look back to second. Flaherty will take the pitch, and that's going to miss, and the count is 3-0. Caleb Joseph, number 9 hitter, waiting on deck. Orioles trailing here by a score of 3-0. Taking a look around. Paredes has got good speed. Jeter's behind him, keeping him a little bit close. Flaherty taking all the way, and that's 4 in a row out of the strike zone for the first walk he surrendered.
That's just a classic pitch around situation where you know you have the right-handed hitter on deck. 2 outs. Don't give in to the left-handed hitter.
Here is Caleb Joseph. With Matt Wieters gone for the season with the injury, Joseph and Nick Hundley have taken over the catching duties, and Joseph has been the primary of the two working behind the plate. 74th game for Caleb Joseph. 9 home runs and the 28 RBIs you saw.
We talked about this on the top with Greene. Pitches well with runners on base, limiting the damage. Hitters hitting .212 against him with runners in scoring position.
It's a great number. The average in the American League about .255, so well below that. Now he's got to find the strike zone again, though. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, behind there. 1-0 count with 2 down. Orioles just their second chance with the runner in scoring position today. 1-0 pitch will be taken, a breaking ball. That's 6 in a row out of the strike zone.
It's almost as if he's fallen in love with the slider and cutter here. Forgot about that good hard sinker.
So Rothschild will make his way out as try and settle him down and get him out of the current rhythm that he is in. Rothschild has seen a lot of people to visit out there on the mound. The Yankees have had to use both a lot of position players and a lot of pitchers this season. There's been a lot of coaching to be done. I want to remind you tonight college football returns with a doubleheader on Fox as the Illinois Fighting Illini square off against the Washington Huskies. Then Brett Hundley and the 12th ranked UCLA Bruins take on the Texas Longhorns. Our coverage 4 Eastern on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
You know, I don't know what Larry said, but I would be surprised if he reminded him how good his stuff is. Trust it, especially holding a 3-run lead.
Greene with a 2-0 count, 2 down. Brady's off second base, Flaherty off first. Joseph a swing and a miss, pick off. They got him going to third, no play. So McCann got it down there, but on a hop. Not a good throw, and Jeter had no chance to go over to third base. Getting some strange stolen bases in this game.
Very strange. You don't see this happen all. You've got the runner really nailed, but great job by Paredes to say, you know what, I know I'm out by a mile. I'll just keep going. I'm in no man's land right here.
Paredes is 3 for 3 stealing bases in this his 18th game with the Orioles.
You saw how good that sinker is on that last pitch. That's a fastball count with movement down that Joseph, looking fastball, swung through.
I should say Paredes in his 9th game with the Orioles. So now runners at first and third with 2 down. Joseph with a 2-1 count. And he will foul that one back.
Let's see if he stays hard here. That's 2 good 2-seamers right there back to back to get himself back into the count.
Orioles trying to get on the board. And Greene trying to end the inning right here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. McCann will have a late setup here. Moves outside. Pitch is there. Did he go? Yes. Struck him out. 4 strikeouts for Greene. The Orioles with a run, no hits, and leave 2 on. We'll return to Baltimore with Jeter coming to the plate after a word from your local Fox station.
greatest job in the world. I got a chance to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees, and there's only one of those. I always felt as though that my job was to try to provide joy and entertainment for you guys, but it can't compare to what you brought me. So for that, thank you very much.
Great ceremony at Yankee Stadium. The Orioles are going to be at Yankee Stadium for his final game there. The Orioles and Yankees have a lot of games here at the end of the season. This is a 4-game set because of the doubleheader, and then the Orioles will be going for a 4-game set in New York, which will include the final day of Jeter's play before they go on the road to finish up in Boston. So here is Jeter. Flied out to right field his first time up. Gonzalez trying to settle it in. Pitch will be taken.
It's just been amazing, Gary, to see the fans' reaction on the road throughout this season. All the cell cameras come up when Derek Jeter steps into the batter's box. There's a game in Texas where a replay went against the Rangers in Jeter's favor, and the crowd erupted in cheers. And he got another hit, even if it was against their hometown team. So it's not just the New York adulation. It's been amazing to see throughout every Major League ballpark this year.
Jeter with a 1-ball 2-strike count. Obviously, he would like to go out strong as far as the game is being played. Get that bat going again. 1-2 delivery to him, and he got jammed. Fortunately, did not hit. At least I don't think it hit his hand, but it was close.
Yeah, that's the 2-seamer that runs in. You combine that with the way Derek dives into the ball, and that's what you're going to get. In a lot of cases, you get the hit by pitchers as well, as we saw the other night against Tampa Bay.
Jeter struggled against Gonzalez. He's had only 3 hits against the Orioles starter in 16 at-bats. Top of the 3rd inning. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and Jeter again jammed, and again another foul ball.
Same scenario. 2-seamer running in. Derek running over the plate. Look out.
Count will stay at 1-2. Gonzalez with his scoreless streak ended, obviously, in that 2nd inning when the Yankees got 3. That's up the middle, right into the glove. Gonzalez. Look what I found. And Jeter hit it hard and is retired.
It looked like a base hit off the bat, but watch Gonzalez with the glove up quickly to make that play because he finishes square to home plate. Watch the finish to delivery. The head and shoulders facing home plate. A lot of the high velocity guys, to maximize their body, have so much torque they'll spin away from the plate, can't defend their position. Gonzalez, more command control guy, finishes square to the plate, becomes an infielder once he releases the baseball.
Now Jeter walks back going, wait a minute, what I got to do? For his last 19, even when he hits it that hard. But he's seen that before in his career, and it too shall end. Here is Gardner, popped out his first time up. Gardner to be followed by Martin Prado. For Gardner, 222 against the Orioles this year, and a strike taken. He will stare away, not really happy with that. Tim Welke is the home plate umpire today, and Welke, his history and a good career it's been, is that the benefit will go to the pitcher. If it's close, pitcher's probably going to get the call. Hitters need to know that and do. So you come up ready to swing. 0-2 delivery will be foul back.
Brett Gardner takes a lot of strikes. Always among the top 4 or 5 in pitches per plate appearances. Now he's in 2-strike mode. This ball's out of the zone, but this is protect mode right here.
0-2 count, 1 away. Shift all the way around on him. And he will launch it the other way. Alejandro De Aza will make the catch. 2 down here in the 3rd inning. Gonzalez trying to get a clean inning. He had one in the 1st, then the 3 runs, 3 hits by the Yankees in the 2nd. Martin Prado, big numbers on the year, flying up to center field his first time up. Prado hitting in that number 4 spot. Yankees, big Bronx bomber teams that have played for New York, used to having a big middle of the lineup that has pounded opposing pitchers. It has not been that case this year. Their 4, 5, and 6 spots in the lineup combined are hitting .228, 28th in Major League Baseball. They have 61 home runs, tied for 7th. RBIs 203, 25th in Major League Baseball. So not those big booming bats in the middle that the Yankee lineups used to.
Yeah, Gardner, as good of a hitter and player as he is, miscast as a 3-hole hitter, but as you said, they really haven't had production out of the middle, so you have to wind up with Gardner 3, Prado 4. You have to go back to Jesse Barfield of the 1990 Yankees, the last time their RBI leader had less than 80.
Popped up in the air to shallow center field. Flaherty going back. Jones coming in. Jones will call and will make the catch. So a clean inning for Gonzalez as he recovers from the second. Orioles will bat top of the order in the third. We're going to be joined by Nick Hundley in a moment. On July 11, it was Hundley in a ball game against the Yankees who got the single off Adam Warren, scoring Manny Machado. The Orioles an extra inning win, a 3-2 victory in 10 innings. And Nick joins us now. Nick, thanks for being with us.
Anytime. Thanks,
hey,
guys.
Nick, can you give us a sense now? The magic numbers down to 5. Buck Showalter, your manager, of course, hates talking about magic numbers in postseason, but you got to be feeling it as a player, don't you, to be that close?
You know, Buck does a great job keeping us locked in at the task at hand, and that's not to look too far ahead and really take care of business. And you know, we got a really good matchup today on the mound, so we're trying to get this win.
Well, let me ask you about a couple of words we hear a lot. I don't know what it means, clubhouse culture. But for you, when you get traded here to the Orioles, what did you notice first off about this team, and what have you learned since about what that means for the Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah, we got great leadership first and foremost. So you walk in, you see guys like Nick Markakis and Matt Wieters and Adam Jones and J.J. Hardy, you guys that go out there and play every day and do it the right way and play hard. So that was probably the first thing you noticed. And then just the professionalism, being around these guys, how talented they are, and how they approach the game. It's been great for me.
Nick, probably with Matt Wieters behind the plate to start the season here in Baltimore, probably the last thing on your mind was that you might be handling some of the catching duties here this season, yes? And how did you find out you were coming?
You know, I got called, our GM, Josh Burns in San Diego, called me about 8:30 in the morning. I missed it, and then they called my wife, so we woke up and I said, I'm pretty sure we just got traded, so let's catch our breath before we call him back. So, but if there was a place I was going to go, I wanted to come here. With the great tradition, obviously playing for Buck is unbelievable opportunity, and then obviously you never wanted to see somebody go down. But if you can step up and step in and try to do your job for a guy like Matt, a guy who's a perennial all-star, it's been great to get back in there.
Nick Markakis at the plate, 1-2 count, picked up a single in his first at bat.
Well, picking guys up, you guys have done it all year, not just Matt Wieters. Manny Machado goes down, and now Chris Davis. I got to ask you, when the news broke around the clubhouse yesterday, what was your reaction? Was there any anger towards Chris Davis for now being out of pocket for the rest of the season and perhaps much, if not all, the postseason?
No, it's the next man up. It's guys like Jimmy Paredes getting a big walk-off hit playing third. Guys like Kelly Johnson, Ryan Flaherty. We're going to miss Chris. We love him as a teammate, but, next man up.
Congratulations on a great season with the Orioles so far. Have a great finish, and we appreciate your coming on with us.
Hey, anytime.
Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Conley will probably be in the ball game tomorrow. He and Caleb Joseph sharing the catching duties behind the plate. Markakis on with a single. Orioles pick up their 4th hit of the ball game. Leadoff single. And now Diazo hit into a double play his first time up. Wheeler in at third. Pitch in to him. Ball 1. Ken Rosenthal, no easy job to replace Matt Wieters, but the Orioles seemingly have gotten it done.
They have, Gary, and it was interesting in our pregame meeting with Joe Girardi. He mentioned the Orioles catching tandem as being something of an underrated thing with this team. And you look at their offensive statistics, those two guys, Hundley and Caleb Joseph, right around league average. And defensively, when you look at the catchers' ERAs, that is the ERA with each individual catcher, these guys have done quite well, and it's been a real boon for the Orioles.
And you get great words, too, Ken, from the Orioles starting staff. If you have the starting pitches about throwing to these two catchers, Caleb Joseph, Nick Hundley, nothing but positives. 2-0 delivery on the way. That'll be foul back. And it's one thing to hear the positives when you ask a question because the player's not going to be negative about a teammate. But it's another thing when it's the players who speak first and want to say, as pitchers, how much they appreciate the job that Joseph and Hundley do behind the plate.
Yeah, and I think when the compliments come from the opposing manager, former catcher Joe Girardi, it really resonated with me. We were talking about all the things that went right for this Baltimore team. He was the one who brought up the catching tandem.
Ball put up in the air, right center field. It'll be near the warning track. Richardson will go over and make the catch. And Markakis will go back to first base. Yeah, I was surprised at that time, to tell you the truth, when Joe raised that out of nowhere about saying, make sure you remember who the catchers are.
Yeah, he notices, there's no doubt. And it took me back to when Joe Torre took over for Buck Showalter after the 1995 season. The first player that they added was Joe Girardi, and that was on the recommendation of Don Zimmer, who had worked with Girardi in Colorado. Having a receiver behind the plate, running a pitching staff, calling a game first, and then the offense as a bonus, turned out to be a backbone of the championship '96 Yankees team.
Adam Jones up with one down. Markakis on to first base. Jones had a double in his first at bat. Greene will get the pitch down low. We extend, as you take a look at this pitch, mentioning Joe Torre, our condolences on the loss of Frank Torre, who passed away very close to Joe. And we know this will be a tough day for you, and we're thinking of you. 0-1 count. Markakis, short lead at first base. And the pitch is outside, 1-1. Nelson Cruz on deck. Meat of the order for the Orioles. Greene has been up to the task here with a walk and 4 strikeouts so far. And he'll come inside. Jones susceptible mostly to those sliders or breaking balls away. Tries to lay off pitches out of the strike zone, but he is a free swinger at the plate. It's about hitting. That's why he's got the 29 doubles, 25 home runs. And he'll hit that one right off the end of the bat. Teixeira handcuffs it, makes the play over to first to get the out on Jones. Let's go to Ryan Field in our studio for a game break. Ryan. Well, right now for the Orioles, they keep a scoreboard eye going on that. The wild card race, Oakland with the incredible fall, in danger of falling out of the wild card race. Wow.
Think about the Red Sox and Braves a couple of years ago, all-time collapses. Oakland, they may be topping them. Take a look at his feed here with Nelson Cruz. The wide open stance allows him to get both eyes on the baseball, get a clear view of the baseball. But as it comes in, you'll watch that front foot. He'll make it a neutral stance.
And the swing and a miss on a heater that was up.
See the wide open stance, gets a good look. Now the foot comes in, just a little toe tap, and late on that fastball.
Strikeout victim his first time up. Nick Markakis is on at second base. Orioles are 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position so far today. 3-0 lead the Yankees. We're in the third inning. Rain delay about half an hour before the ball game got started, a little more than that. That's why we're only in the third of this one. The Orioles have won 6 in a row, trying to extend that. The Yankees trying to hang on to their wild card hopes of the win here. Got it inside off the fists and foul. And 1-2 on Cruz. Cruz leading the American League as he has most of the year in homers. He's 3 ahead of Carter with 39. He's tied with Miguel Cabrera for second in RBIs, 101. Mike Trout leads the league with 105. Cruz has put up the 5th best slugging number in the league this year. 1-2. Big secondary lead at second base. There's that pitch they want him to chase. Did he go? No. Ed Hickox at first.
That's the slider. Just really good sweeping action on this slider. Actually started out on the plate, and it was a ball that McCann really had to reach for. Had so much movement.
Cruz has an 0 for 4 against the Yankee right-hander. Markakis, you see, wandering off second there. They're not trying to hold him. 2-2 delivery on the way. Cruz goes to the middle. That may allow Markakis to score. Gardner up. Bobby Dickerson, third base coach, waving him home. No arm in center for Gardner, and the Orioles get on the board. So the base hit by Cruz brings home Markakis, and it is a 3-1 ball game.
Once again, goes back to the sweeper away. Not as much tilt. Looked more like a cutter, actually, that stayed on the plate. Nice job by Cruz. We talked about that open stance, but you could tell by the way the Yankees defend him, not just a pull hitter. Uses the whole field, and right there took it up the middle.
So Cruz adds another 102 runs batted in. And the Orioles with a 2-out RBI here in the third inning.
Boy, you think he's made himself some money this year, Nelson Cruz? Power hitting so hard to find, and he really is the premier free agent power hitter on the market.
Signed just a 1-year deal. Pierce will take a strike on the inside corner. Pierce, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Talked about Orioles who have come along and gotten it done. How about Steve Pierce? This is the 93rd game he's played with the Orioles. 284, 16 homers, 39 RBIs, 23 doubles on the year. And Pierce has played left field, first base, and he had a chance to go elsewhere. He was designated for assignment by the Orioles, and another team wanted him, and he chose not to sign because he wanted to come back, but he had to wait for the open spot on the roster to do so, and he did.
I remember talking to Buck Showalter during that time, and he said it's great credit to Steve Pierce and the confidence he has in this organization to be really released and re-signed with the same organization.
Swing and a miss. Movement on that pitch. The Pierce has not been able to get lined up. And Greene gets ahead 0-2.
He's been released, traded, or purchased 7 different times in his career. Changed six times he changed teams in a 10-month period before finding a home here in Baltimore.
0-2 count, runner on at first base is Cruz. Orioles with a run in. 0-2 delivery will sweep outside for a ball.
And that closed stance he hits with circa 1972 has been a big part of finding a home here. Really thought it kept him on the ball longer. Wouldn't think he's a dead pull hitter, but he is with that stance.
1-2.
Joe Rudy, George Hendrick, classic 1970s.
Ground ball fouled off again outside of third base.
You can tell by the way the left side of the Yankees infield defends him. Derek Jeter can almost shake hands over there with Wheeler.
1-2 on Pierce. Strange alignment. A lot of room first and second. A lot of room between the second baseman and the shortstop. The reports are rarely wrong, and rarely do you see a hitter not conform to the report. That one is down the line, and it is a fair ball. Richardson coming over to get it. Cruz going to third will be held, and a dying Quail double picked up by Pierce will keep the inning alive for the Orioles.
And sometimes when you confound the shift, it's just by happenstance. He's not trying to go there. Got jammed a little bit. Look at him pull the hands in, fight it off. Doesn't get it on the barrel, but gets enough of it to parachute into grass in right field.
So the two-bagger as he battled through the at-bat, and the Orioles get the potential tying runs on base. And that will bring up J.J. Hardy. Hardy, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Boy, the pitch count for Greene really jumping here. It's up to 68.
Well, here he really needs to throw strike one. J.J. Hardy swings at the fewest first pitches of any hitter in baseball. Rarely does he ever swing at first pitch. If he's giving you strike one, make sure you take it.
Hardy's done a good job getting runners in this season. 354 with runners in scoring position. That is 5th best in the American League. And he too, a player who will be looking for a new contract for next year. 1-0 count, 2 down. Hardy with a chance to tie the ball game up if he can get a base hit. 1-0 delivery on the way to him. Ground ball right into the shift. Play made by Prado, and that'll retire the side. The Orioles are going to get 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. They leave 2 in scoring position. The Orioles have stranded 5 through the first 3 innings. Yankees lead it. Sponsored by T-Mobile and by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. With Tom Verducci and Ken Rosenthal, I'm Gary Thorne. Yankees lost the doubleheader yesterday. They've come back to get the 3-1 lead in this game. For the Yankees, 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. The Orioles, 1 run on 6 hits. They have left 5 on base.
How about that valet service in the dugout for Greene?
Do you like that?
Doesn't have to clean the dirt out of his own spikes. He's got people for that. I love it.
This is the show, after all. Gonzalez's delivery is fouled off. McCann hit the home run, his 19th in the second inning. 3-run inning. RBI picked up by Richardson and a steal of home by Young on a double steal situation. Those are the 3 runs for the Yankees. Oh yeah, let's have some of that Boog's barbecue. Boog Powell, former Oriole, has the barbecue out there on Utah Street. 1-1 delivery, and the pitch is taken inside. McCann, Teixeira, and Young. Gonzalez, a 2-1 delivery, and challenged him with that one and got it by him.
Oh, that looks good.
It does, doesn't it?
It always smells so good out there, too.
Don't you hate directors who show that during a game? I mean, why would they do that? Knowing we're hungry up here. We get to see all the food. All right, where's the crab cake? 3-ball, 2-strike count. Gonzalez delivers, and a towering pop up to center. Ken Rosenthal, one of the things Buck Showalter doesn't want to talk about rotation for the postseason. How about Gonzalez in that?
You remember back in 2012, the division series, he was brilliant against the Yankees. So was Wei-Yin Chen. Chris Tillman did not pitch in that series, but he has evolved into the Orioles ace. So that could leave the number 4 spot to Bud Norris or Kevin Gausman. Gausman, of course, the younger guy. He could be used in the bullpen as well. Tremendous upside in either role. Buck will look at every possible angle, as you guys know. And it's going to come down most likely to matchups, who pitches well in what park and against what opponent.
I think you're right on that one. Teixeira puts it up in the air as the rain starts to fall again. That'll be in the seats. Showalter has really managed his staff this year, Tommy, that way. The first thing he looks at is how does a player perform in a particular ballpark, then how does he perform against that particular team. In that order is what he views when setting a rotation. Right.
One of the things that really has helped them, too, is having starting pitchers with options.
Into the shift. Didn't even make it by Pierce that time. Teixeira retired.
And by that, I mean, if you need to give a guy a break, move someone in and out of the rotations, it's nice to actually use the minor leagues as something of a taxi squad, if you will. And I look at this rotation here, and Tillman, obviously the ace of the staff. I think Chen is locked in. I would have him as a number 2. And after that, you don't need to make an announcement right now. I mean, Gausman, as Kenny alluded to, he's a weapon out of the bullpen if you want to do that. I would assume that Buck Showalter in a playoff scenario would name starters for 1 and 2, and anybody else is available out of the pen for those games, and then you make a decision when you have to for games 3 and 4.
Which is exactly what he's done this whole season. He has generally named his starters just one series ahead. He waits till really the last game of one series to name the starters for the next. And even then he'll say, and that all depends on what happens in this game. Gonzalez gets the comebacker, makes the play over to first base, and has a solid inning. Young is retired. That's going to be 8 in a row that have been set down. The Yankees, though, still have the 3-1 lead. Asking him a brief synopsis regarding the Yankee season.
Well, it's been difficult at times. We've had a hard time scoring runs like a lot of teams in the league, and we've had guys in and out of the lineup, and just a number of things that we've had to deal with. But we need to be more consistent offensively, and we lost yesterday 2-1, and then got shut out in the second game, and that's the big thing.
Joe, one of the bright spots, Shane Greene, the stuff he brings to the mound, especially with runners on base. Assess how he's doing today.
Well, they're making him work. That's the one thing they're making him do, and they've got his pitch count up pretty high, so we're going to have to watch him here carefully. But the young man has thrown extremely well for us. He's been called into action because we've had a lot of starters hurt, and he's done a really good job.
Joe, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Talking about his offense, the Yankees averaging 3.9 runs per game. That is the second fewest runs since 1973 for a Yankee team. 1990 they averaged 3.7. This year 3.9. Brady's coming up for the Orioles, bottom third of the order against Greene, and he will take the pitch outside. Light rain continues off and on, so it's a slick playing surface right now. Brady's a double, stole third, was stranded there in the second inning. No clean inning yet for Greene. It's one of the reasons that pitch count has gotten so high so fast, up to 73.
Yeah, you can see the stuff and why the Yankees are high on this kid. And it's an amazing story of where they found him, actually. They actually found him on the JV team of a junior college team. A junior varsity. He wasn't even on the varsity of a community college team, but the JV team. He had working his way back from Tommy John surgery.
That'll be grounded to second base. Prado on the skip play gets it.
And one day he was throwing a bullpen session. He was trying to get the eyes of the coach at the University of Central Florida. And he was throwing a bullpen session, and he asked a Yankees scout who happened to live in the area, Jeff Deerdorf, to watch him throw. He had a friend behind the plate catching him. He had a radar gun, which was being manned by his friend's 10-year-old sister. He throws a pitch, and the scout says, "What'd you get that at?" And she says, 92. Before you know it, the Yankees invited him to a pre-draft camp in Tampa. Really, nobody else in baseball knew about him. They thought maybe the Angels had an idea, but he was a guy literally off the radar for 28 major league clubs when the Yankees drafted him.
Just never know, do you? 1-0 delivery on the way. It'll be taken by Flaherty.
And Damon Oppenheimer, the scouting director, really didn't know when to pull the trigger on drafting him. He did really well in the tryout camp, obviously. And if you've got basically an unknown commodity, when do you take him? Well, they went to the 15th round before he started getting nervous, and they finally drafted Shane Greene, signed him for $100,000. And now here he is in their rotation.
Ken Rosenthal, pretty good story.
Really good story, and I'll add on to what Tom was saying. This all started when Greene was at the University of West Florida. He's a freshman. He needed Tommy John surgery. Well, what happened? The coach took his scholarship away. So then he had to transfer with another friend who had Tommy John, and they found a place at Dayton Beach Community College. The coach there said, "Yeah, sure, rehabilitate here, no problem." They figured maybe they could walk on the next year, and that's when Greene got in touch with Deerdorf, and as Tom said, the rest of the story is pretty good too.
Just keep driving. Got to keep trying in order to have it happen. We have two pitchers in this game who both have stories like that. Tom was talking about Miguel Gonzalez on the other side. That'll be whacked foul into the rain drenched. And the count 3 balls and 2 strikes on Flaherty, who drew a walk his first time up. You got Gonzalez, who comes out of the Mexican League starting for the Orioles, and Greene, who comes out of JV at a junior college starting for the Yankees. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Flaherty to be followed by Joseph. 3-2 delivery on the way, and that's fouled off as well.
The Orioles have done a great job doing that with both position players and pitchers, inviting players in. And Buck Showalter has said the word is out there. It's not just, hey, we'll give you some at-bats. It's a real chance in this organization. The year they brought Miguel Gonzalez in, that year their AAA team went through 79 players. Guys like Jamie Moyer, J.C. Romero, Joel Pinheiro.
Gets him.
Backdoor breaking ball right there. The 5th strikeout for Greene. Flaherty didn't agree with it. Let's see if he catches this. It's the ball you give up on thinking it's outside. Now it's going to come back, and a nice job by McCann to frame it. And yeah, with Tim Welke back there, that's a strike.
2 down, nobody on. Joseph coming up. A lot of credit goes to Dan Duquette regarding the depth that the Orioles have. He's a general manager who's gone out and really scoured the earth for players that he thinks will fit in the mold of what the Orioles are, and then getting them into the organization and giving them a chance. And that's been a big change here. I mean, after 14 losing seasons that the Orioles had, to have players who now want to come here is a big change from those years where players said no.
A big change. 32 active players today. 14 of them were not here 12 months ago. Obviously, the biggest impact has been made by Nelson Cruz. Let's see where his future lies, but he's told me this is my first choice. Why not? He's certainly found a home here.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Delivery to Joseph, and he will take the pitch. Did he go? No. Ed Hickok's again the signal, and the count goes to 2-1. Orioles picking up the run in the 3rd inning on a Cruz single. The Yankees 3 runs, 3 hits, including a McCann home run coming in the 2nd. 2-1 delivery on the way to him, and that will miss. So Caleb Joseph gets ahead on the count, 3-1. 2 teams going to play again tomorrow. Then, as we said, we'll play again in New York. 3-1 pitch on the way, fouled off. Toronto's gone back on top of Tampa 5-3 in the 7th inning of their ball game. We note that because for the Orioles, their magic number right now is tied to the team in 2nd. It happens to be Toronto. Any combination of win by the Orioles, losses by Toronto, that adds up to 5 gives Buck Showalter's team the division championship. 3-2 delivery on the way. Joseph inside out and into the seats.
Do you think Buck Showalter knows the magic number? I know he's not going to admit it.
Guarantee you he knows the magic number, and he cheats by looking at the scoreboard. And he admits that. He just wants to keep everybody focused. And he's right, as all managers will say. If I start talking about it, then the players are going to start talking about it, and then they're thinking about that and not about today's game, and I don't want that. So that makes all the sense in the world. Got him on the outside corner. 6 strikeouts picked up by Greene. He retires the side in order here in the 4th inning. We completed 4 Camden Yards in Baltimore with the Yankees up by 2. On your favorite mobile phone or tablet, you can get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.TV game of the day, and more. You can download it at the App Store or go to MLB.com today. You don't want to miss it. It's getting closer and closer. Non-stop action, the heart-pounding excitement, historic performances. Don't miss the 2014 postseason beginning September 30th. Babe Ruth, of course, from Baltimore, home in which he was born, only a couple of blocks away. Bunt is shown. Richardson takes it. It is a strike. Antoine Richardson, a base hit in the second inning, got his first major league RBI, and he stole a base that inning. All that, his first plate appearance. That one's going to bounce off home plate from Miguel Gonzalez. For Gonzalez against the Yankees this season, a couple of no decisions. 3 runs, 7 hits, 6 innings in one game. 2 runs, 6 hits, 8 innings in another. Both non-decision. He had not given up a run in the last 2 games against Boston and Cincinnati. Going those 15 and a third innings, Yankees ended that in the second. 2-ball, 1 strike count. 30-year-old right-hander delivers to Richardson inside. For Gonzalez, he's been particularly tough against the American League East. In his last 10 starts against the East, he's gone 5-0 with a 2.34 earned run average. And the team's won 7 of those 10 games. That pitch is in there for a strike. 3-2.
You see him going with the 4-seam fastball a lot more lately, and I talked to him about that. He's really followed the advice and pattern of Chris Tillman. Guys who like to keep the ball down all of a sudden are finding success by changing eye level.
3-2 chopper, speedy runner. Hardy couldn't get it out of the glove, and he's got him. Whoa. They may want to look at that one. Girardi immediately turns around to his video replay helper. Wow. He's out.
He's got a nice pick by Pierce.
Umpires are amazing. Ed Hickok's right on the money. Naked eye looked like he might have been safe, but on the slow-mo, as usually happens, the umpires got it. Good play. Speedy Richardson retired on the throw by Hardy. Zealous Wheeler, strikeout victim, his first time up, 1 down. And he'll take it up and in.
Yeah, that's the pitch again. I mean, you think about Gonzalez as a sinker ball, slider type guy, split. And yeah, he has success down there with the secondary stuff, but he's gone upstairs a lot more with the 4-seam fastball. And actually, there's another one. Brandon McCarthy has done the same thing with the Yankees since he got here, has really been pounding the zone up top. And Gary, I think hitters are just so conditioned to seeing the ball low, and the way they swing up on the baseball has made the pitch elevated at the top of the strike zone, the 4-seam fastball, a much better pitch. Drew Smiley is doing that in Tampa Bay.
The difficulty with it for pitchers is trying to throw it for a strike. It's not an easy pitch to get in the strike zone, the high strike. And it's also one that umpires aren't used to seeing, so whether you can get the call or not will also vary as to its effectiveness.
Well, I do think they're calling more of those pitches strikes. The pitch that a catcher will catch in front of his mask used to be a ball, and I think you can get that called for a strike now.
1-2 delivery on the way, foul back.
And there it is again. I mean, that's only 91, but a hitter has a hard time getting on top of that pitch because the modern swing, the barrel is not in the zone for very long. He's swinging up on the baseball. See the barrel drop and then come up to the baseball. Well, it's tough to square it up when it's above your hands.
1 ball, 2 strike count, set up away. Pitch is there, and it'll be popped up to right. Nick Markakis. He's got it, and there are 2 down.
You know, Don Mattingly is a big believer that when we talk about offense being down in the game, he goes to hitting mechanics. He's big on keeping the barrel in the zone for a longer period of time, and he just says you look at the mechanics today, and the barrel is in and out of the zone quickly with the uppercut swing.
And that's taught, has been taught. Get that through the strike zone as quickly as you can has been sort of the name of the game over the past almost decade. And there are some who say, wait a minute, maybe not. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. He'll take it down low for a ball. Ellsbury is popped out and grounded out. Well, 2 down, nobody on.
Sorry, Gary. It makes for a more powerful swing, but not a consistent swing. And I think that's part of the problem the Oakland A's are going through. Billy Beane built that team specifically to hit the ball in the air.
There's another one in the air. Diaz waiting in left field. He's got it, and that will retire the side. And right now Gonzalez is on a roll here as he's retired 11 in a row. There's a fan coming well dressed. You know, when that gets soaking wet, he's going to feel really, really good. To know, Nick Markakis, 1,537 career hits, the most hits among active players without All-Star Game selection. Big Things brought to you by Pepsi. Make it a real big summer with 3 new flavors of Pepsi made with real sugar. Nick's had big things going on today. 2 for 2, couple of singles and a run scored. And if you're a really good baseball player and you're lucky, you get a horse named after you. That horse is named Markakis, racing at Laurel Park here in Maryland. Its first race and won. Is that an omen?
And Nick didn't know anything about it.
Nick knows nothing about it.
How does he not have a piece of a horse named after him that is good and won his race?
I'm not sure Nick has ever seen a picture of that horse. Hey! Kids having a good time at the ballpark and a big crowd on hand. Some 45,000 were expected for this day game.
Check this out here. It's like a tuning fork. Pound the barrel of the bat and listen to it. Why is he doing that? A lot of hitters will gauge the quality of their wood by how it sounds.
And if anybody's going to do that, it's Nick Markakis.
So you hear about guys who smell the bat sometimes. They'll foul the ball back and they want to see if they can smell the burning of the seams of the baseball on the wood of the bat. And sometimes they listen to their bat. And I'm sure sometimes, Gary, they talk to their bats.
No question about that. That'll go to right field. Nick may be angry with his bat after flying out and one away here. For the Yankees, they'll get their bullpen action going. Emil Rogers is up in the pen, the right-hander. Greene has worked 5, and that's generally this season where he's had to get out of the ball game. His ERA 1 through 5 is 2.92. His ERA 6 inning on 7.
Yeah, and Joe Girardi mentioned to us when we talked to him about the pitch count. And remember that he does not have, Joe Girardi does not have Dellin Betances or David Robertson today after working them yesterday. So he may be in a situation where he needs to get 12 outs out of his bullpen without his 2 best arms.
May well be the case. That won't be easy. Pitch is taken. He's hit into a double play, flied out. Alejandro De Aza, 8-game hit streak coming in, shut down so far. Got a lot of players out there, a lot of pitchers to choose from, but as Tom said, not his top relievers who were used in the first game of the doubleheader yesterday that went 11 innings. 0-2 the count.
That's a 12-man bullpen out there, Gary.
Yep.
That's pretty crowded.
Becoming the norm, though, isn't it? Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that'll be foul back. It's another big decision has to be made. Teams going into the postseason. How many pitchers do you carry into postseason in a best-of-7 series? All managers nowadays, it used to be just a given. You relied on your starters, but now you take some 1 or 2 starters, use them in the pen. It's not easy. Swing and a miss as he buried that one.
Oh, it doesn't matter right-handers or left-handers. Look at the tilt on the slider here. Back foot slider. He's featured some really good stuff today.
Greene impressive. Has got 7 strikeouts in the ball game. His career high is 10. He has had 10 this season against Tampa Bay. So with 2 down, here's Adam Jones. Jones has doubled and grounded out.
You got to pitch him right here like it's 0-2. First pitch, pretend it's 0-2, make him chase, breaking ball. And he went to this 2-seamer.
Came inside to him.
One of the things, Gary, I like about this Baltimore team, not just Adam Jones, very aggressive swinging the bat.
1-0 delivery to him down low. Well, he certainly matters whether they win or lose. In games the Orioles have won, he's hitting .333. They lose, .208. Slugging percentage, .354 they win, .250 they lose. He's had 20 home runs in wins, 5 in losses. In all the numbers indicate he shapes, and for a large margin, what the Orioles are doing in a ball game. 2 ball, 1 strike count.
So important to this team. And really curious to see when we do get to the MVP voting between him and Nelson Cruz, who gets the most support among the Oriole players.
2-1 delivery on the way. There's the pitch they wanted him to chase after, and he doesn't.
I still think it's, Mike Trout in the field as far as handicapping that race, but the guy right there certainly has the numbers, and this guy, Adam Jones, has the numbers and I think the clout, the leadership in that clubhouse.
3-1 delivery on the way by Greene, and he came back inside. It'll be fouled away. Bottom half of the 5th inning. The Orioles and Yankees in game 3 of their 4-game set. Yankees with a 3-1 lead, 3-run 3-hit 2nd inning. McCann is homered. Young is stolen home on a double steal. Richardson an RBI base hit. The Orioles Cruz RBI singled in the 3rd. 3-2 pitch. Jones swings and misses. What an outing if that is it for Greene. 2 strikeouts in a row here in the 5th. He's got 8 in the ball game. Sets the side down in order. Today's telecast is sponsored by Bayer Back and Body, the official pain reliever of MLB. And by the Gillette Fusion Pro Glide, now with FlexBall technology. It's shaving rebuilt. Gary Thorne, Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal here. The Tapsco River. This is where the British came into Baltimore Harbor in the battle that took place at Fort McHenry, where our national anthem originated from. And that pitch is taken outside.
So the Francis Scott Key Bridge through the mist.
Yes. Francis Scott Key, who wrote our national anthem, which was not adopted for 100 years after that battle, is on a British ship in the harbor. He had gone and helped negotiate the release of a prisoner, and the British wouldn't let him come back to Baltimore because they knew they were going to be attacking. 200th anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner, 25-hour battle at Fort McHenry. U.S. soldiers raising that flag, sewn by Mary Peppersgill. And Jeter takes the pitch. Not quite sure as the count goes to 2-1.
I think he thought this ball was down. Let's take a look. Might have been down by the way the catcher caught it, bringing it back up. That's an indication that it was just out of the zone. By the way, the original lyrics Francis Scott Key wrote, Defense of Fort McHenry was the name of it. There are actually 4 stanzas. We only sing the first.
2-1 delivery away.
I guess if you're waiting for a ball game to start, it's good, but you only sing the first stanza.
But the great irony of it is that the musical, the tune that is our national anthem, is a British drinking song originally that had been used over and over 100 times over for different songs over the decades, millenniums. Fouled off by Jeter. But Francis Scott Key, I'm quoting here really from Maryland Public Television last night, ran a great hour show on this history behind the writing of it. And Francis Scott Key had heard that as a youngster growing up, and that song was repeated and repeated in his life, and that's the one he thought of when he wrote the anthem. He intended it to be a song, not a poem. 3-2 delivery on the way. Jeter will foul that one back.
That shot we had of the flag, that might have been a replica of the one flying over Fort McHenry. 15 stars back in 1814.
Yes, it is. It is. On special occasions here at Camden Yards, the Orioles fly that flag. Jeter 0 for 2, lined out to the pitcher his last time up. 3-ball, 2-strike count. Gonzalez with a delivery to him, and he walked him. Second walk surrendered. This is a leadoff walk in the 6th.
Not often you hear cheers upon a walk by an Oriole pitcher. But when Derek Jeter is playing his last series of games in Camden Yards, he's going to hear it every at bat.
Gardner has flied out and popped out. Gonzalez retires 73% of leadoff batters. Good number. That's the first leadoff batter to reach against him this afternoon. He's up to 86 pitches thrown. And that one will back Gardner off the plate.
What do you think the Orioles are going to do tomorrow? What gift do they give Derek Jeter?
Final game here, and Buck Showalter said it's been the most difficult question of the year because everybody's trying to find something really special to give him that's unique. And Showalter's one who made the decision on that, but he won't say what it is. He wants to keep it as a surprise. I don't know. Pitch will be taken up high. Maybe give him right field for all the hits that he put out there. It'll be interesting to see in the ball game tomorrow what that present is going to be from the Orioles organization. 2-0 count. Short lead at first base. Gardner will pop it up. Nick Markakis in right. He's got it. Don't know where the truck is that's holding all these gifts, but boy, there have been plenty of them. Astros Angels gave the surfboard. Astros Cowboy had. Brewers had the gold bat that they gave. Subway mosaic tile coming from New York. Number 2 placard on the outfield wall with the Cubs. The bench of bats with the White Sox. Indians gave them the guitar. And the number 1 career mosaic. Rangers had the roots and the plaque. Boots and plaque from President George W. Bush. I mean, just all kinds of gifts. And the donations. The Orioles have tended to be turning to the donations for his charities. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the main gift and something kind of funny was the physical gift that's given.
Well, they've certainly seen enough with him. You look at that. Derek Jeter, most hits against any opponent in his career.
Martin Prado, 1-0 delivery to him. This is Jeter's 286th game against the Orioles. 286. That's a lot of ball games against one team. But of course, he's only played for one team. Here at Camden Yards.
Like sitting here. Only Carl Yastrzemski with more hits against the Orioles since they've been here since 1954 than Derek Jeter.
Off the end of the bat, down the line in right. Pierce will give chase. And not going to get it. It ends up in the seats.
Of course, Buck Showalter was his first manager in the big leagues, the 1995 New York Yankees. Gary, something that always stood out for me. Derek Jeter was dressed for those 95 Yankees, but not active on the roster in the postseason against Seattle. Remember that Game 5 when David Cone was on the mound, just really throwing his heart out there, walked in the tying run of that game, came off the mound really like he had just fought 15 rounds. The first one to greet him, even before he got to the dugout, was 20-year-old Derek Jeter. It was just something about Derek from day one, and even the minor league managers and coaches will tell you, just had a way around people. Leadership qualities without being a very loud person.
2 ball, 2 strike count on Gardner. Jeter at first base with 1 down. And that ball will be put up in the air again towards right. Again Markakis. And he's got it. And Prado is retired, and there are 2 down. So 2 away with Jeter on at first. It'll bring up McCann. Skies are clearing. The Blue Angels are flying. That's what the fans are applauding. We may hear their roar. It depends on whether they've got those thrusters open. There they are. They're putting on a show this afternoon, part of the celebration. You'll know it when they go over.
Just an amazing sight and sound.
They came together, and their commander threw out the first ball in the second game of the doubleheader last night. And McCann will take the pitch inside, a home run, and he is flied out. 19 home runs on the season. The Yankees up 3-1 here in the 6th.
They got some sharp unis too. Did you notice that? Those blue jumpsuits.
Same colors as planes and the sky. 1-0 count. They can turn the thrusters up and down as far as the sound's concerned. And when they came over yesterday, they were rehearsing. They opened. I mean, it shook. It shook the stadium, and there were oohs and ahs everywhere. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Shift on. Pitch will be taken up high for a ball. Gonzalez has given up the 3 runs on just 3 hits, while the Orioles have scored just 1 run on 6 hits in the ball game. 5 left on by the O's and 1 by the Yankees so far. Jeter leadoff walk, still there, 2 down. 2-1 delivery, and that will miss. And McCann will get ahead on the count, 3-1. The Orioles had early bullpen action in the 2nd inning just in case. And they'll get action again here. Webb gets up to throw. The right-hander. Here's the 3-1 delivery on the way, and it's inside to him. So Gonzalez may be running out of gas here. These pitchers are starting to wander a little bit. 2 walks in the inning. 1 That'll bring up Teixeira. He's walked and scored and lined out. Teixeira's not had a hit off Gonzalez in his career. He's 0 for 8.
Yeah, and I think that matchup convinces Buck Showalter to leave Gonzalez in the game, because I agree, it looks like the tank, not that it's empty, is getting down there. You don't want to push him at this stage of the season given the standings.
Pitch is taken for a strike. There's a show in the field and a show in the air. Jeter and McCann. As though it's not hard enough to play this game. You got the Blue Angels flying over your head.
And literally circling the ballpark.
They're performing over the inner harbor, which is just about 3 blocks down the street. Runners off first and second, 0-2 the count. Teixeira waiting on it. Did he go? Nope. Bud Fagan down at third. Young waiting on deck. There are 2 down. One-two delivery. Teixeira reaches and fouls it off. But all managers will tell you the toughest decision you have to make is when do you pull a starter. Any pitcher, but when do you pull a starter? You hope you don't wait that one pitcher, that one batter too long. Showalter checking to see if Webb is ready.
Yeah, I got to believe this is his last batter either way, out or not out.
1-2 delivery on the way, and Teixeira again will foul it off.
But it's a great point. I think it is a tough call for a manager. See, the ball just got thrown back to Gonzalez. He wasn't paying attention, almost got beamed by it. But the 6th inning to me is the inning of reckoning for a manager, because generally that's when a pitcher's pitch count gets in that 100 range. And the question is, when do you start that parade of relief pitchers, and when do you let a starting pitcher go a little bit longer? And generally that decision begins to fall in the 6th inning.
He's thrown as many as 117 pitches this year. 104 right now. 1-2 count, 2 on. Yankees trying to add to their 3-1 lead. Teixeira on a floater that's going to miss outside the off-speed pitch.
It looked like the split change here. Just started off the plate, was never in danger of being a strike to Teixeira.
2-2. Gonzalez delivers. That'll be grounded down to first base. That is a fair ball. Played by Pierce to the bag. And Gonzalez able to find the out. No runs, no hits, no errors. 2 are left on base. Bottom of the 6th inning. Nelson Cruz, the Major League home run leader, will lead it off when we come back. sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Camden Yards in Baltimore is the site. Lead goes to the Yankees. Let's take a look at our pitcher comparison. It's brought to you by Bank of America.
This pitcher comparison doesn't show that Shane Greene's stuff has gotten better the deeper he's gotten in the game. We thought pitch count was an issue for him. Here he is in the 6th inning. Retired his last 7 batters. 4 strikeouts among his last 5 batters. It's really been the sinker-slider combination, especially to right-handed hitters.
So Greene will stay on. Cruz will bat, and a swing and a miss. And there's that slider again that bites down. RBI single. The Orioles only run 3rd inning. Cruz got it, bringing home Markakis, who had led the inning off with a base hit. Cruz, Pierce, and Hardy shift on in the infield against him, and inside 1-1. Ismael Rogers still up in the bullpen. He's ready to go. He's fully warmed up. He's staying loose out there now. 1-1 delivery on the way. Up high, 2-1.
Yeah, we saw a shot of the defense. A little bit different than they had for Cruz his last time up when he had that single. You see Prado's basically covering the hole where he had the hit last time up.
Greene has had a couple of real good starts against the Orioles this year. That first one, he went 7 1/3, no runs, 4 hits. It was back on July 12. He's lost his last 2 starts to Boston and Kansas City. Here's the 3-1 delivery on the way, and Cruz unable to catch up to it. 3-2.
I don't see many 4-seam fastballs from Greene, but here it is, 3-1. Fastball count, threw it by him. Once again, changing elevation.
And that's there, and he's gone. Wow, is Greene putting on a show? 1 walk and 9 strikeouts.
That's the old backup breaking ball. Right-handed hitter not expecting to see that come back over the plate. Not sure if he did that by design, but if he didn't, happy accident, gets the call.
1 shy of his career high 10 Ks. Steve Pearce, 1 of the strikeouts, and he also has doubled. Red Sox already know, the Orioles know, that if they're going to cut into that magic number, they've got to win today. Toronto has beaten Tampa. That's foul. 6-3 the final in Toronto, with the Blue Jays beating the Tampa Bay Rays.
Just goes foul. But that was a good pitch by Greene. You know, the right-handed hitters know all about that slider by now. Working both sides of the plate, started in with the fastball. Defense has shifted that way anyway on Pierce, pitching into the defense. Nice job, used both sides of the plate.
1 strike count. Pierce grounds it to 3rd. Again, it's foul. R.A. Dickey got the win for the Jays today. He's 13-12. Casey Janssen got his 23rd save. Brad Boxberger in relief took the loss for the Rays, 5-2. Hellickson had started. 3 runs, 2 earned, 4 hits over 6 for Jeremy Hellickson. So Toronto 6 and the Jays 3.
I've thought, Gary, for the last 3 or 4 hitters, Greene's been 1 batter away, 1 base runner away from coming out of the game. He's just decided he's not going to allow any base runners.
That'll keep you in the ball game.
Back to the slider.
And again forced him to reach for it, and it's fouled away.
But he's had such good command of that pitch today. Really, maybe only 1 pitch that Cruz missed that really got the fat of the plate, that just kind of spun and hung up. Otherwise, all these pitches in the zone, breaking out of the zone.
Very impressive for this 25-year-old in his 12th start, 13th appearance with the Yankees. 0-2 delivery in the air, left field. Pierce going for it, way back, and goodbye, home run. Steve Pierce drives it. His 17th home run and his 40th RBI, and the Orioles make it a 3-2 game.
Remember on Nelson Cruz, I talked about the strike 3 pitch, the backup breaking ball, whether by design or not. This was by design. He shook to this ball inside. You see McCann set up, and the breaking ball comes back over the plate into the barrel of the bat. That's the difference between hitting your spot and not hitting your spot. It wasn't so much the pitch, because we saw how well it worked against Cruz. It was the execution of it.
And that will end the day. And a good one for Greene. Career high pitches thrown, 113. He leaves with a chance to be the winning pitcher in this ball game. Yankee will go to the bullpen here, up by 1. Bullpen try and preserve this 1-run lead the Yankees have. His numbers on the year. 29th game worked. J.J. Hardy will take the pitch outside. 6th inning, home run by Pierce, making it a 1-run game, 1 down. And Greene will now watch, hoping to get his 5th win if the Yankees can hang on to this lead. Greene worked 5 1/3, 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. An outstanding performance for Greene in the ball game. Pierce ending his day with that home run. Rogers' delivery to Hardy. That's a strike.
Rogers, a guy the Yankees always liked his arm. Picked him up from Toronto. See the good mid-90s fastball, complements that with a hard slider.
Orioles batters have seen a lot of Rogers being in the division. Hardy's gone 3 for 15 against him in his career. 2 ball, 1 strike count on Hardy. Brady's waiting on deck. A couple of veterans against one another in this at bat. Here's the 2-1. He'll take it for a strike.
To me, that's where you want to work J.J. Hardy. Down in the zone. When we talk about flat swings and the lack of them in today's game, Hardy's the exception. He's one of the better high ball hitters in the league. Keeps that flat bat flat through the zone and gets on top of those high pitches, not underneath them.
At 2-2, that high set. Hardy will put it in the air the other way. Richardson is there. couple of steps over, and he's got it. And there are 2 down. Rogers this season against the Orioles. This is game number 4. The Orioles have hit him up for 5 runs on 10 hits in just 4 2/3 innings. A couple of home runs off him. .417 batting average against Rogers this year by the O's. Paredes up with 2 down and nobody on. Bottom half of the 6th inning. Good ball game, and again a tight one with the pitchers dominating. Go after the first one, fight it off.
Paredes was a guy who came up in the Yankees system. Was a trade deadline player going to Houston in the Lance Berkman deal, and the Astros thought we had ourselves our future second baseman when they picked up Paredes. Bounced around quite a bit since then.
Oh, one delivery on the way to him, and a big swing and a miss, and he will take some healthy cuts.
It's the off-speed breaking ball here, way out in front. Don't see many of those curveballs from Rogers, and certainly Paredes was not expecting that.
Acquired by the Orioles from Kansas City. It was a cash deal. Again, to add more depth to their infield. 0-2 delivery to him. Thought about it. We'll take it away. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Trying to extend the inning and give Flaherty an at-bat. With Manny Machado out for the season, Chris Davis had moved from first to third. Pierce moving into first base now with the suspension of Chris Davis. Buck Showalter will determine who's going to be at third and get more playing time over there. Kelly Johnson, Paredes, Ryan Flaherty. Inside and missed. Arms up, ball underneath him. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Here's Pierce, who came up into pro ball as a first baseman. So his playing first base is not a new position for him. In fact, he loves playing first base, but it widely been noted as more of an outfielder. And a swing and a miss. He turned it over. Great pitch. So Rogers comes on and gets the home run. The Orioles get one here in the 6th inning. 1 run, 1 hit. Pierce delivers his 17th long ball. We'll return to Baltimore after a word from your local Fox station. to you by Domino's. Visit Domino's.com. The Yankees getting all their runs, in fact, all their hits in that 3-run second inning. Cruz has picked up an RBI base hit. Pierce the solo shot. And Greene 9 strikeouts. Career high was 10. And came out of the ballgame with a chance to win it. Now we're going to see Ryan Webb out of the Orioles bullpen.
Yeah, good sinker slider guy. Miguel Gonzalez, I thought, pitched a really good game, if not an odd one, where it just looked like that one inning he gave up all 3 hits. Lost enough of the plate to have Buck Showalter get his bullpen up that inning, but really locked in before and after.
Pitched the last 4 innings, Gonzalez did, without giving up a hit and only a couple of walks. But those 3 runs have stood up from that second inning. Now Webb. Young will take the pitch for a strike. He has doubled and scored and grounded out. 0-1. Yankees now looking to add to that lead. It had been 3-0, then 3-1, and now 3-2. Shift on in the infield against him. That ball high in the air to left field. De Aza going over. He's got room and will put it away. Ken Rosenthal, how about the development here of 24?
Well, a lot of people in New York, Gary, I'm sure are wondering how Young could be so bad with the Mets and so good with the Yankees. He said that it wasn't the way he mapped it out, but he's finally getting the feel he was looking for, and now he wants to apply it and take it into next season. He gives a lot of credit to Yankees hitting coach Kevin Long. He said that Long made some tweaks for him, and those are the adjustments that he thinks long-term can make a big difference.
He's certainly working it right now. There's Long, who's really helped him by the look of the results. 1 down. Here is Antoine Richardson. RBI, base hit, stolen base, 1 for 2. Paredes coming in from third. 7th inning, 3 runs, 3 hits for the Yankees, 2 runs, 7 hits for the Orioles. 5 left for the O's, 3 left on for the Yankees. Gonzalez out of there with just that 1 bad inning in the second. The Orioles started, and that is in there for a strike. Webb was with Miami last year. 2-6 record, 66 appearances. Everything out of the bullpen, worked 80 innings. 28 years old. That'll be slashed off the fist the other way. Signed by the Orioles as a free agent, 2-year deal.
This guy, it's tough to elevate the ball against him. Good hard sinker and the slider combination.
One ball, 2 strike count on Richardson. .271 hitter this year at AAA. 1-2 pitch and got him. So Webb comes on and gets a strikeout. A couple out here in the 7th inning.
There's the breaking ball. Got the backdoor call.
And for those of you in Illinois and Washington, we will get you out to the college football game in a few moments. If you'd like to continue watching our game, we will be on Fox Sports 2, streaming live on the Fox Sports Go app and on foxsportsgo.com. For those of you staying with us, we'll get you immediately out to Illinois, Washington at the conclusion of our game. This game delayed a half hour plus at the beginning by rain. Pitch will be taken inside. 2 down, nobody on. Webb looking to set the side down in order. Wheeler's flied out, struck out. One taken. That's a strike. Big crowd here today, 44,231. Another sellout, the 8th of the year for the Orioles. Paredes puts it away. Wheeler's retired. 3 up, 3 down. 7th inning stretch time here at Camden Yards with the Yankees on top of the Orioles 3-2. Sponsored by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes cereal. They're great. And by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Here's to Budweiser. Here's to baseball. 7th inning stretch time. Fan settles in. Or if you're over at the Hilton, you get up, look out over the railing. That's the hotel. It's right outside the center field area of the ballpark. Or you can be over there in the warehouse and just open the window from your office and watch the game. And a good one. 3-2 the score. Yankees on top. They have led throughout. Brian Flaherty has struck out and walked. Joseph and then Markakis due up for the Orioles.
Bird's eye view from up there. Probably tell the eye color of the Blue Angels pilot's eyes, huh?
Pretty good chance. Double show. Look up, see the planes. Look down, see the game. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Rogers coming on in relief, getting the 2 outs in the 6th inning. Or you can work out in the gym and watch the game.
Work out, listen to some hip hop.
And the 1-1 pitch is in there for his strike. I thought only you did that in the booth between. Oh man. 1-2. Probably talking on his cell too, but couldn't see that. 1-2 delivery. Breaking ball that's going to miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Orioles lead the season series against the Yankees 10-3. The Orioles having a very good year against them. They have won all 4 series to date against New York. Yankees trying to undo that and keep their wild card hopes alive. 2-2 delivery on the way and a breaking ball. That'll also miss down low. 3-2.
And Joe Girardi, if he has to, he'll use multiple pitchers right here. And we talked at the top. Every game he has called a must-win game. Need to win out. At least that's the attitude you need going into these games. We talked about now 11 outs to pick up by his bullpen, and how many different relievers will it take? There are plenty of options out there. You're not going to run out of relievers for sure.
3 ball, 2 strike count. And taken, and there's a leadoff walk for Flaherty here in the 7th inning. It's only the 2nd walk the Orioles have drawn in the ballgame. They don't get a lot of walks. So the potential tying run on, potential go-ahead comes to the plate. Caleb Joseph, who has struck out twice.
We'll see how Buck Showalter wants to play this. You talked about not a big fan of the sacrifice bunt. Well, late in the game he is.
They'll play Wheeler in at 3rd base. Caleb Joseph has been asked to bunt before. 4 sacrifices. Rogers delivery squared to first. Beautiful bunt. Shara will tag him as he goes by. There's the sacrifice, moving Flaherty down to 2nd base.
Yeah, who said hitters can't bunt anymore? Lost art. Perfect position. Look at him setting the bat, the angle of the bat. It's at the top of the zone. Now just catch the ball on the bat. It's perfect execution.
And we will get the matchups going, as Tom mentioned. So Girardi is on his way out. That'll be it for Ismael Rogers. He will work 1 inning. He will be responsible for the base runner. He didn't give up any hits. And we're going to see matchup after matchup now for the rest of this game. Fox that critics are raving about, saying things like it's a lightning bolt of fresh air with the It ensemble of the season. You don't want to miss Red Band Society this Wednesday, 9/8 Central on Fox. Josh Outman getting the matchup against the left-hander. Nick Markakis. Outman has worked in the doubleheader yesterday. He had a perfect 6th inning, picking up a strikeout. Runner on at second base, Flaherty, the potential tying run. Markakis has had 2 singles, 2 for 3 in the ball game. Markakis' numbers have improved as the season's gone along against left-handers. He's hitting .284. Didn't like that call. .284 against the lefties, almost 20 points higher than against righties.
Yeah, well, he's saying, you know, if that's a strike, I'm going to hit .084 against lefties. Probably off the plate, but a good break on that ball from Outman. He's done a nice job since the Yankees picked him up.
Kelly's in the bullpen. They're going to keep action going out there. Sean Kelly warming up. Flaherty off second base. Here's the 0-1 delivery. In the air to center field. Gardner will get under it. Runner will go halfway. 2 down. So now looking for the 2-out RBI as De Aza will come to the plate. He's 0 for 3 in the ballgame. Orioles are 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position in this game. 5 for 21 in the 3rd of 4 games in this set. Flaherty taking a look behind him with the left-hander up. Jeter will jockey with him a little bit. De Aza. He'll take the pitch and it'll miss for a ball.
See Outman wearing number 88. Point out this time the 3 pitchers the Yankees have used in this game: 61, 53, 88. Sounds like the offensive line of the 63 Packers. But it's September. The Yankees don't have a lot of available numbers anyway.
And one more is going to be going shortly. 1-0 count. And a look back. De Aza's hit only 114 against left-handers. 287 against righties.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity for Buck Showalter to give him the AB. The way he's been swinging the bat, he probably has earned this, swinging a hot bat, but why not find out? Might be a situation in the postseason. He needs to take an AB against the lefty.
1-0 delivery to him. Breaking ball is going to be in there for a strike. Josh Outman getting it in. Outman made his debut with the Yankees with a win at Toronto back on August 29. He came up from AAA that day after being acquired the day before from Cleveland. Cash and a player to be named later. 1 ball, 1 strike. De Aza waiting on it. Fastball towards the hole. Nice play. Prado got in front of it and gets the out. No runs, no hits, no errors. The base runner left on. We'll go to the 8th inning in a 1-run ball game. Worked an inning at a strikeout. Now the left-hander T.J. McFarland will come out. He's been used in long relief a lot this year, both a starter and reliever. And again, both managers now looking at matchups in this one-run game.
Well, McFarland, another sinker slider guy. Rule 5 pick. It's hard to do, to draft someone out of someone's minor league system. You need to keep them on the team for the entire season. They did that with McFarland and get results here. They really like this guy.
They've really needed him in long relief. That has been a spot where the Orioles have been a little bit short for part of the season. So McFarland will work here as the Yankees try and add to their lead. 3-3-0 for the Yankees, 2-7-0 for the Orioles. Orioles now have left 6 on base, 3 left on by the Yankees. And the pitch will miss down low for a ball. Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury, leadoff batter, has had an 0 for 3 in the ball game. 304 off left-handers, with a goodly number of at bats, 171 against him. That is in there for a strike. Ellsbury's got a 1 for 8 off McFarland. Jeter and then Gardner. Defense pretty much straight up against Ellsbury. 1-1 delivery, grounded down to first off his foot.
I think some of our younger fans must have said, "What's a long reliever, Daddy?" I mean, it really is. You think about it, every team used to have that guy in the bullpen who can come in and eat up innings. But the game has become so specialized in the bullpen. Some younger fans there, that very few guys can pitch multiple innings out of a bullpen anymore. It's one reason we see a lot of position players having to mop up games. Teams run out of pitchers.
You get caught short in the game, you can be in real trouble. Down to first base. Pierce will play it on the big hop. Ellsbury's retired, 1 away in the 8th inning. It was 1996. It was the ALCS. His name was Derek Jeter. His name was Jeffrey Meyer. In right field, Jeffrey Meyer reached out and caught the ball and pulled it back. And thus began a bit of baseball history. Davey Johnson, the skipper of the Orioles. Painful Oriole memory. Big positive one for Derek Jeter.
I kind of think of it as that's when the legend of the October Jeter really began.
All the way to the backstop to Jeter for a ball. He's lined out, flied out, and walked.
Of course, played more postseason games than any player in history. With these expanded playoffs and the Yankees' success made that possible, but seemed to be in the middle of so many big rallies, and that was the first of them in October.
1-0 delivery to him. Comebacker to the mound, played by McFarland. Oriole fans applauding, trying to drown out the Yankee fans who are chanting Jeter. 2 down here in the 8th inning. So Jeter with the 0 for 3 in this game, now 0 for 20. Ken Rosenthal, does that 0 for 20 go back to anything in particular?
Well, it may. And Gary, we know that Derek Jeter would never admit to an injury, but on August 5th, hit in the left elbow by his former teammate Jabba Chamberlain. Going into that day, he was hitting .277. Entering today, he was hitting .176 since.
He's had the lowest OPS since August 1 of anyone in baseball. That's a tough way to go, but not done yet. 2 down, nobody on. Here's Gardner. Gardner's had an 0 for 3. Paredes will play in at third. Pitch will miss down low. Gardner's .278 off left-handers. He too a little bit better, about 22 points better against lefties than righties. We're in the 8th of a 3-2 game. Yankees on top. They've led throughout. 3 runs in that 2nd inning. McCann home run. Young stole home on a double steal, and the RBI single by Richardson. fastball will come inside from McFarland.
And this has been a problem for the Yankees throughout the year. We talked about, obviously, their offense down among the 2-3 worst teams in the league, but especially late in the games, their offense just grinds to a halt. As good as their bullpen has been, I mean, take a look at this. That's Major League Baseball, the fewest runs from innings 7 through 9. So their ability to put teams away or to come back on people, it's kind of negated how good their bullpen has been all year.
It's kind of like an internal battle going on. The bullpen doing their job, with the offense unable to get a 1, 2, 3 spot late in the ball game. Martin Prado's going to come to the plate. 2-out walk surrendered by McFarland. Prado's 0 for 3. All have been fly ball outs.
I think McFarland has to pay a lot of attention to Brett Gardner in this situation.
Pitch will be taken for a strike. Prado with the Yankees hitting .405 against the left-handers. McFarland trying to find the final out of the inning. Prado has not faced McFarland before. Lead at first, Gardner. Prado will take it inside. 1-1. Talk about the Yankees being 5 games out of a wild card spot. When you look at the standings, I've always multiply it by 2, because that's what you got to get done. Officially it's 5 games out, but you got a 10-game differential that you've got to overcome. And for the Yankees with the wild card, you got 4 of the teams in front of you. 1-1 delivery taken down low. That's why we talked about at the top the Yankees almost needing to run the table here in order to find that second wild card spot. Oakland, Kansas City, and Seattle right now holding those spots. Toronto 3.5, Cleveland 4, and New York 5.
Yeah, it's not even worth doing the math when you have to chase so many teams. As you said, it's not just the deficit. And having to overcome all those teams, you need so much help just to get back in. If you want to do the math, I've thought all along 88 really is the number you should shoot for that wild card. The Yankees sitting here at 75. That gives you an idea what they're up against.
2 ball, 2 strike count. McFarland on Prado. Gardner held at first by Pierce. Yankees not wanting to take the bat out of the hand of Prado with the one he's been hot overall and 2 of the numbers against left-handers. Little protective glove. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that's going to be inside. So McFarland will take it full. Now Gardner will go. 3-2, 2 down. That run so important. Even with the 3-2 count, Pierce is going to still hold the runner at first rather than play behind him, not give him that extra jump. .3-2 delivery, that's ripped foul.
And you see they had him played on the line here, and it still almost gets in there.
He's been barreling up. 385 in the last 21 games. 5 home runs, 8 doubles, 13 RBIs in that stretch for Prado.
Yeah, he's been on everything. Great 2-strike hitter. Rarely swings at the first pitch because he's such a good hitter deep into counts. Almost like the more pitches he sees, the more it swings in his favor.
3-2 delivery again. Runner going at Chopper. This will be a tough play. McFarland can't get it, and Paredes won't either. An infield hit. And with 2 down, the Yankees put runners on at first and second.
Yeah, you see Prado there. He's been battling a strained hamstring, and right here, instinct takes over, and he knows he's got to bust it. He can't see that McFarland actually whiffs when he tries to reach for it. But we've seen Prado this week running to protect that hamstring. Not here. I'm sure that was barking on him down the line. As you said,
no play.
Yeah, you wind up with a huge at bat here with McCann, as you said, in that 1-run ball game. Left on left. This isn't a bat McFarland has to win.
McCann 301 against lefties, 90 points higher than against righties. The Orioles will put the shift on, 2 down, 2 on. And that is taken inside earlier, second inning. McCann.
First home run since back in May on the road. Went down and got that one-handed it out of the park on the off-speed pitch from Gonzalez.
That began that 3-run second inning. So big moment in this game with the Yankees leading it by a score of 3-2 in the 8th. Chance to add to it. Gardner, Prado, the base runners. Pitch will tail inside. 2-0. Orioles and Yankees bullpens remaining active. Yankees with a 1-for-4 with runners in scoring position in the ball game today. Meek warming up for the Orioles. Pitch will be taken up high. 3-0.
Yeah, that's a good take right there. 2-0. He was just keyholing, looking for something inside half in. This ball close to being a strike, a little up and away, but nothing he could do damage with. He can do the same right here. This is not a take situation. Just keyhole for a fastball inner half. If it's there, go ahead, let it fly.
Rio delivery on the way. It's there for a strike. Rally coming with 2 down. Walk to Gardner. Single Martin Prado. Teixeira is on deck. McCann's got the count at 3-1. McFarland the look back. 3-1 delivery, grounded down to first. Pierce is there. He'll take it to the bag to end the inning. So no runs on 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The ball game yet to be decided. In the middle of the order, Jones, Cruz, and Pierce due up. Sponsored by the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, and by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Here in Baltimore, defensive changes for the Yankees. Ichiro Suzuki will come on to play in right field. Richardson is out. And the Yankees will turn to Sean Kelly in his 55th game of the season. He last worked against Tampa Bay on Thursday, so he's had a chance to rest a bit and will come on for that 3-5 mark against the Orioles.
It's worked out well for Joe Girardi. Outman gets the 2 lefties, and now 4 right-handed hitters in a row for Sean Kelly. with a good mid-90s fastball and a wipeout power slider that he actually throws more than his fastball.
Well, he's held the numbers down. The left-handers are 209 against Kelly. Right-handers 222. The Orioles meet of the order. Here is Jones in the bottom of the 8th inning. A double. First time up. 1 for 3. And Adam Jones on the big cut foul tips it into the mitt. Jones 3 for 12 with a home run lifetime off Kelly. 0-1 delivery to him, and that'll be to right field. That's going to be a base hit. Ichiro over. So the Orioles will get the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Nice piece of hitting by Mr. Consistency. Check this out. Most consecutive years hitting in the 280s. Now, Adam Jones is on track to do it once again for a 5th consecutive year. No one's ever done that. He's already tied right now with the well-known Brago Ruff.
What a great man.
I got to tell you a little bit about Brago.
All right.
And I'm sure you already know this. Not his real name, by the way. His name was Bobby, but he liked to brag about himself, so he got called Brago. Or they called him the Globetrotter because he changed teams so much 5 times in a 6-year span. Hit 283, of course, in the 280s with the Yankees in 1921. They got rid of him. He comes back. He made a comeback at the age of 35 for the 1928 Hollywood Stars. That's in the minor leagues. And you know what he hit, Gary?
281.
283.
It's close. I had a clue. Taken by Cruz. Cruz has had an RBI single, 1 for 3 in the ballgame. May have to nickname Adam Jones.
Brago Jones?
Brago Jones.
That's not really stretching it too much, is it?
No, I like that. That's got a good ring to it. 280 hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Delivery on the way. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Orioles trying to mount a comeback. They've done that a lot this year. In fact, both of these teams have done a lot of that this season. The Orioles and Yankees each have 36 comeback wins. The Angels the most in the majors at 45, followed by the Tigers and Pirates at 38. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Jones good speed at first. Cruz will take the pitch away. He's not going after that slider down and away. 3-1.
Yeah, see, Kelly really unhappy with himself because that was a slider not good enough to tempt Nelson Cruz. Just start that on the edge of the plate and let it go out.
Cruz has gone 3 for 10 off Kelly with a home run. 3 ball, 1 strike count. And a swing and a miss. He keeps it down, and 3-2.
Yeah, Nelson thought he was getting a fastball here, and it looks like a fastball until it's going to dive late. 3-1 sitting on fastball. Nice execution by Kelly. If he throws it 3-1, my guess is he throws it 3-2.
Adam Jones at first, not going. Ball put in the air to center. It is back deep, near the wall, hauled in by Gardner. Cruz gave it a ride over 400 feet away, but you got to do 410 to get it out.
They did challenge him with the fastball. There was a lot of holding of breath, including Sean Kelly, with this ball in the air for a long time until Gardner reels it in.
That close, but not quite. 1 down. Pierce has delivered a home run, his 17th in the 6th inning. Cruz the other RBI with his base hit, accounting for the Orioles' 2 runs. Jones back to the bag. Kelly has been tagged by the Orioles this year. He's appearing for the 6th time. He's got an 0-2 record against the Orioles on the year. He has picked up a save and 1 save opportunity, but 5 runs, 7 hits, and 4 2/3 innings. Orioles have hit him at a .368 clip, now limited at bats as he's come on in relief. That one's going to be fouled off at the plate by Pierce for a strike.
going back to the Jones at bat, taking the ball away to the other field. I think that's the same approach Pierce has to use here. If Kelly makes a mistake inside, he could take advantage of it. Just got to believe that fastball slider combination, just about everything is going to be off the plate away from Steve Pierce right here. We've seen what he can do when mistakes are made inside.
2 for 3 today, a double also, along with that home run. 0-1, Jones again back to the bag. The Orioles are down a run here, 3-2. They have out hit the Yankees 8-4, but not been able to move the runners around, except in that third inning, and then the home run by Pierce. 0-1 count. Jones not going. Nubbed. Kelly. A little flip. Teixeira there to get it, and Pierce is retired. Jones will get down to second with 2 away. Girardi talking. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, as J.J. Hardy will be coming to the plate. Potential tying run on second base.
Yeah, we talked before the game about Joe Girardi not having his usual best arms available. Dellin Betances, David Robertson, the setup man and the closer, both used extensively yesterday. Day off today.
Well, let's see what J.J. Hardy does here. This is the Orioles' best hitter with runners in scoring position, 5th best number in the league. Hardy 2 for 5 off Kelly with a home run. Takes the first pitch for a ball. Orioles have been behind since the second inning. Base hit here could tie it up. Hardy with the 0 for 3. 1-0 delivery to him. Pitch sweeps across the plate. The upper part of the strike zone. 1-1. Hardy's batting average with runners in scoring position and 2 down, 385. Best on the Orioles team. 1-1 delivery on the way. Hardy, a ground ball off the end of the bat. Prado is there. He'll make the play. And Kelly works out of the inning. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 more left in scoring position. 3-2 Yankees.
The game, Shane Greene threw for the Yankees today. 9 strikeouts, many of them on that sweeping slider, especially the right-handed hitters. Called, swinging, didn't matter, kept the ball away from them. Backdoor to the left-handers. Shane Greene, his stuff actually got sharper as the game went on, taking the ball into the 6th inning for the Yankees.
Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball, presents the walk-off. Great walk-offs are waiting at foxsports.com/Budweiser. Grab some buds. So we go to the 9th inning of this one-run ball game. Evan Meek has come on to do the pitching for the Orioles. Mark Teixeira, who's walked and scored, lined out and grounded out. Meek has been up and down with the Orioles 5 times this season. Last call-up coming with the expanded rosters September 1. Pitch is in there for a strike. They'll Meek trying to hold it right here in the top of the 9th inning. Teixeira with a shift on. Off-speed breaking ball will catch the outside corner, 2-2.
Yeah, it's been a strike all day. That backdoor breaking ball, especially the left-handers.
2-2 delivery to him. Teixeira takes it inside. So Mike Teixeira hitting only $161 against the Orioles this year. 1 home run, 3 RBIs against the O's. Facing Meek for the first time. Full count delivery to him. Teixeira is on with a walk.
He tried to go back to the well and get that backdoor breaking ball. Didn't get the call. That one was off the plate.
So the Yankees here in the 9th, leadoff man on base. Chris Young and then Ichiro due up in the order. Young got his hit in the 2nd inning, a double. McCann had the home run. Young would score on a double steal. He would steal home. And Richardson would get an RBI single, his first Major League RBI, all coming in the 3rd. Since the 2nd inning, rather, 3 runs, 3 hits in the 2nd. And since then, the Yankees have had 1 hit. A single by Prado in the 8th inning. McFarland worked an inning, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk. Meek on for him. Popped up. Pierce Joseph. And on top of the dugout. So the starters remain the pitchers of record in the ball game. Greene having that chance to win it with the 2 runs, 7 hits, 5 1/3. And Gonzalez on the losing side right now, 3 runs, 3 hits in 6 innings.
That stolen base, the steal of home, the double steal, actually, 1st and 3rd situation. Gary, I'm surprised more teams don't use that play, especially last year when they changed the rule that pitchers could no longer fake the 3rd and throw the ball to 1st. We saw Richardson get a good jump.
A lot of times on those, Tom, you don't see a throw through anymore, do you?
No.
I mean, usually teams just let him have the base.
They will let him have the base, and especially 2 outs, play for the 3rd out rather than trying to get that out and risk the run being scored. But the runner can get a better jump knowing you can't fake 3rd, go to 1st.
Yep. Drilled that one to left field. Diaza gets the read on it. That ball kept going up. Boy, Young stung that one. He's retired. Teixeira goes back to first base.
Boy, he has been on everything since he put on the Yankee uniform. Good balance at the plate, seeing everything well. Head on the baseball. Good extension. Just not quite enough to get it out. Even the outs are loud these days for Chris Young.
So that will bring Ichiro to the plate. This will be his first at bat, coming on as a defensive replacement. Very solid 284 batting average with some power mixed in for Ichiro. Take the pitch for his strike.
You know how pitchers talk about inducing bad contact or weak contact? I don't think you want to do that with Ichiro.
No.
He's halfway out of the box when he swings, and he gets so many infield hits on balls he doesn't square up.
There's a broken back ground ball to third. They're going to get the out at second. Flaherty over to cover on the throw from Paredes, and that will be 2 down as they get to Shera. Fielder's choice for Ichiro.
Well, that was bad contact. When the bat breaks like that, obviously no chance of getting 2 on Ichiro.
So now Wheeler will come up, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 3 in the ball game. 0 for 5 in the 3 games. 3-2. Yankees lead. 2 down, set up away, pitch inside. Evan Meek and a ball.
If I'm Ichiro, I got to think about running right here with 2 outs. Seen so many slow breaking balls that Meek has thrown. Try to pick one of those in the count.
Pierce able to scoop that one up.
I mean, otherwise, really, you're playing for either the ball going out of the park or 2 more hits to score a run.
Ichiro's 12 out of 15 stealing bases. Not bad.
He can still run. It's so smart. Again, picking the right pitch, often a big part of stealing bases.
That'll be on the inside corner. Wheeler not sure, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike.
He's had 2 off-speed pitches so far and stayed put. Another one of those backup breaking balls. Freezes the right-handed hitter.
9 home runs with AAA Scranton for Wheeler. Ichiro not going. Swing and a miss as he went upstairs on the 90-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-2.
Haven't seen a slide step yet from Meek in this at bat either. A little surprised Ichiro still has stayed put.
One-two delivery, runner not going. Ground ball will go to third. Brady's up, makes the throw over to first base and records the out. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on. The Orioles have 3 outs to work with. The Yankees need 3 outs to win it. We go to the bottom of the 9th. There are the do-ups for the Orioles. At bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet, you get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv, the game of the day, and more. You can download it, the App Store, or visit MLB.com today. Not far away, those playoffs, don't miss it. Some great nonstop action, the heart-pounding excitement, and historic performances. The 2014 postseason will begin September 30th. How important is the ball game for the Yankees? Important enough But after throwing 35 pitches yesterday and working in relief, he's back.
Yeah, we talked about Joe Girardi saying he would not use Betances and Robertson today. Well, in fairness to Joe Girardi, that was before Robertson was able to get out on the field and play catch before the game. I'm sure he probably sent a signal like, hey, Skip, I'm good. You can use me. And here he is, yesterday pitching in a tie game on the road, and today coming back after throwing 35 pitches.
Save situation for David Robertson, and the pitch will be taken down low. Paredes has a hit, a double, 1 for 3. Flaherty and then Joseph are due up in the ball game. Paredes is getting his first look at David Robertson. Strikeout pitcher extraordinaire. All-time career strikeouts per 9 innings. 11.98. 5th best. Craig Kimbrell, Kelly Jansen, Craig Holland, Rod Dibble, and then David Robertson. 1-1 delivery on the way. That's going to be a base hit to center. So the Orioles do get the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
First look at Robertson, solved them pretty well. Breaking ball left up and out over the plate. Nice swing on balance. Leadoff runner on with speed.
Ryan Flaherty. In at third base, Wheeler. They will play for the bunt. Squares around very early. Butcher Boy pulled it back, doesn't swing, takes a strike. 0-1. Well, let's see if he meant it. Wheeler's still going to play in. Delman Young has come out to pinch hit for Caleb Joseph.
The stolen base is definitely an option. Paredes 21 out of 22 in the minor leagues stealing.
Ryan Flaherty, his job, get that runner moved out, stay out of the double play.
Like a lot of closers, Robertson not quick to the plate.
Charging is Wheeler. Here's the 0-1. He squares, popped it up. It sinks. Play's got to be at first, and they get the sacrifice. McCann going out to get it. Paredes goes down to second.
Gary, looked like one of your pitching wedges checking up on the green. Watch the action on this. Gets up in the air, you think maybe you can catch it, but once it hits the ground, it just dies. Once again, the Orioles executing the fundamentals of the game very well. Now you've got a notorious first pitch fastball hitter in Delman Young. Actually, it doesn't matter what kind of pitch. He loves swinging coming out of the dugout. Robertson knows he has to be really careful, especially first pitch to Delman Young.
Yet another one of the players who has been instrumental in the Orioles' run. As a pinch hitter, he is 9 for 18. His 9 hits are the most pinch hits in the American League. Runner at second base. 1-run game, and Young will take it outside. Good stop made by McCann. Delman Young against Robertson.
That's the kind of breaking ball you throw when you know you have a first pitch hitter up there. Make sure it's out of the zone. No problem with that approach. Now you're behind the count.
Young is 2 for 5 off the Yankee reliever. Brady's out at second base. 1 down. Robertson with the 1-0 delivery, and Young will take that for a strike.
It's such a difficult matchup for a right-handed hitter. Robertson gets on the extreme third base side of the rubber and has the natural cutting action to the baseball, so it creates such hard angles to a right-handed hitter where the ball looks like it's always working away from you.
Incredible numbers. Robertson, the lefty's 150, the right-hander's 200. 1-1 delivery on the way. Young, there's a Baltimore chop. This is a tough play. Jeter's got it. Can he get him? Throw to first. And he records the out. Paredes will go over to third base. Jeter had to hustle that one.
Well, Every infielder has a clock in their head, and Jeter knew he could lay back on this ball to get the better hop, knowing Young's speed, and got him by a good step.
So this real good ball game comes down here in the bottom of the 9th inning to Nick Markakis. The Rays on at third with 2 outs. College football doubleheader. Fox, Illinois Fighting Illini against Washington Huskies. Brett Hundley, the 12th-ranked UCLA Bruins, Texas Longhorns. Coverage begins next on Fox, streaming on Fox Sports Go.
One of the great strikeout pitchers against a great contact hitter, and pressure on the catcher, Brian McCann.
Robertson's delivery to him. Markakis will take it. A strike call. Markakis 2 singles.
Pressure on the catcher, obviously. That breaking ball in the dirt with the runner on third. Robertson missing location, but gets the call.
44,000 plus sellout crowd on their feet. The Orioles just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position today. Delivery by Robertson, and a swing and a foul ball, and that one caught McCann.
Yeah, you have to throw this pitch even with the runner on third base. The breaking ball in the dirt. This one's fouled off.
Markakis has gone 3 for 14 lifetime against Robertson. Robertson 35 out of 38 in save opportunities. This is a save situation for him. He's 1 for 1 against the Orioles this year. Brady's potential tying run at third base. Markakis will step out. Jeter looking in for the sign. Here's the 0-2 delivery. Markakis, a slow roller, second base. Prado, and this ball game is over. So the Yankees end the Orioles' 6-game win streak. They keep their hopes alive for the wild card as they put away the win in this one by 1 run. That'll do it for Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal, all of our crew. I'm Gary Thorne. Football coming up next from Baltimore. Do-a-do.